It has been said, in whispers throughout the ages, that the world you see is but a mirror, a reflection, but not a reflection of your face or your body, but of the conversation happening eternally inside of you. The most ferocious argument you will ever face is not with another person, not with circumstances, not with fate. It is with the legion of voices within your own mind, the voice of doubt, debating the voice of hope, the voice of fear, shouting down the voice of faith, the voice of yesterday, dictating the story of tomorrow. We spend our lives trying to win arguments with the world, trying to persuade, to convince, to strive, to fight for our case, believing the battle is out there. We exhaust ourselves, polishing the mirror, screaming at the reflection, trying to force it to change. But what if the entire premise is wrong? What if the most profound form of influence, the most potent form of creation, requires no argument at all? This is an invitation to a different kind of power, a power we will call silent persuasion. This is not the craft of words or the strategy of debate. It is the art of attuning your inner state so completely, so profoundly, that your very being becomes the undeniable argument. It is the science of calibrating your own frequency, your own feeling, until reality has no choice but to harmonize with it, naturally and without resistance. This journey we are about to embark on is not about learning more, but about unlearning. It is a process of subtraction, of letting go. We will not add more armor for the battle. Instead, we will lay down our weapons and discover that there was never a war to begin with. We will walk away from the noisy battlefield of the external world and enter the sacred, silent temple of the self. Here, in the stillness, you will learn to conquer not the world, but the mind that creates it. And in doing so, you will find that the world, finally, quietly, concedes. You have felt it, have you not? A sense of pushing against something unseen, a subtle, or perhaps not so subtle resistance to your will. You set a goal, and obstacles appear as if from nowhere. You seek peace, and your mind is filled with noise. You desire connection, and you feel an invisible wall between you and others. For so long, you have been taught to name this resistance. You call it bad luck, you call it other people, you call it the economy, you call it the state of the world. You have been trained to locate the enemy on a map that exists outside of your own skin. And so you fight. You strategize, you work harder, you push back against the world, believing that with enough force, enough effort, the resistance will yield. But it rarely does, not in a lasting way. The battle wears you down. It drains your spirit, because you are fighting on the wrong field. You are aiming your cannons at a phantom army. The true conflict, the source of all resistance you experience in your life, takes place on an unseen battlefield. This battlefield is the vast, silent, and infinitely powerful landscape of your own consciousness. It is here, and only here, that the war is won or lost before a single event in the outer world even occurs. The life you are living is a direct, undeniable, and ruthlessly accurate printout of the conditions of this inner field. The events of your life are not the battle. They are merely the dispatch from the front line, reporting back on a war that has already been decided within you. It is not the job loss that is the catastrophe, but your inner state of insecurity that it triggers and validates. It is not the cutting remark from another that is the wound, but the pre-existing belief within you that you are unworthy, a belief that the remark simply found and illuminated. It is not the lonely evening that is the source of pain, but the inner narrative of separation you carry, which turns solitude into a prison. The events themselves are neutral. They are empty vessels. It is you, and the content of your inner world, who fills them with the meaning of tragedy or the meaning of opportunity. Imagine, for a moment, that your mind is a vast, circular room. The walls of this room are not made of stone or wood, but of perfectly polished mirrors. An infinite hall of mirrors, stretching in every direction. There is no door, no window to the outside. There is only you, standing in the center, and your infinite reflections staring back. These are no ordinary mirrors. They do not merely reflect your physical form. They reflect the totality of your inner being. One mirror reflects your deepest, most hidden beliefs about yourself. Another reflects the anxieties you carry. A third reflects the unresolved anger from your past. Another, the quiet hum of your secret joys. Every judgment, every fear, every hope, every ounce of love or scarcity you hold within you is projected onto these walls, creating the seamless, 360-degree panorama you call my reality. Now, you see a reflection you do not like. In one of the mirrors, you see an image of failure, the image of someone being overlooked for a promotion. You do not recognize it as a reflection of your own inner fear of inadequacy. You believe the image is the source, so you run towards the mirror. You press your hands against the cold glass and you argue with the reflection. You try to reason with it, to tell it why it should be different. You might even shout at it or try to shatter the mirror itself, believing that if you can destroy that one image, you will be free. But all you get are bruised knuckles and a sore throat. And worse, as you focus all your energy on that one reflection of failure, you inadvertently turn your back on 1,000 other mirrors. Mirrors that were waiting to reflect your strength, your creativity, your capacity for love. Your fixation on the negative reflection becomes the very substance that feeds it, making it appear larger, more solid, more real than all the others. This is the human tragedy, played out in billions of lives every single day. We are running around inside our own minds, fighting with our own reflections. We are trying to convince the mirror of scarcity that we should be wealthy. We are pleading with the mirror of loneliness to show us a loving partner. We are negotiating with the mirror of sickness to show us an image of health. We are locked in a futile, exhausting, and utterly unnecessary struggle. The mirrors do not judge, they do not create, they do not have an agenda. They have only one function: to reflect, with perfect, unwavering fidelity, whatever stands before them. To change the reflection, you must change the object. To change your world, you must change yourself. When this realization truly dawns, not as an intellectual concept, but as a lived, cellular truth, it is both terrifying and exhilarating. Terrifying because it means there is no one else to blame. There are no excuses. The source of your suffering and your joy is not out there. It has been inside you all along. But it is also supremely exhilarating for the very same reason. If the source is within you, then the power is within you. You are no longer a victim tossed on the waves of a chaotic world. You are the weather maker. You are not the pawn. You are the player who moves the pieces by moving your own state of being. You are not the reflection in the mirror. You are the one who stands before it. This is the beginning of true freedom. It is the end of blame and the birth of radical responsibility. It is the moment you stop fighting the shadows on the wall and turn to face the light that is casting them. So now, we find ourselves standing in the center of this great mirrored room. We understand that the reflections are not the cause. We understand that we are the source. What is the first move for a master of this domain? It is not to frantically try and change ourselves, to contort into a shape we think will produce a better reflection. This is just another form of struggle. No, the first, most powerful, and most courageous act is to simply be still, to stop running, to stop fighting, and to look. To truly look at what is being reflected, without judgment, without panic. The first step on this unseen battlefield is not an attack, but a sacred reconnaissance. We must learn to observe the terrain of our own minds, to map the landscape of our own beliefs. We must learn the art of sacred observation. We have located the battlefield. We are standing in the center of the Great Hall of Mirrors, aware, for the first time, that the world we see is a reflection of the world we hold within. The immediate human impulse is to act, to fix, to change, to improve the image being cast. The mind, the great problem solver, immediately springs into action, asking, "What must I do? How can I become better, more worthy, so that the mirrors reflect a more pleasing reality?" And this is the first, most subtle trap. This urge to do is the very energy that has kept you running, fighting the reflections. The first step in this inner art of silent persuasion is not action, but its seeming opposite. It is a profound and radical stillness. It is the art of sacred observation. The moment you decide to be still, you will likely notice a paradox. The inner world becomes louder. The torrent of thoughts, which was a constant background hum, now seems to roar in your ears. Doubts, plans, memories, fragments of songs, imaginary conversations, they all rush forward to fill the vacuum you have created. This is not a sign that you are doing it wrong. It is a sign that you are finally paying attention. You have, for the first time, ceased running alongside the noise and have instead stopped to listen to it. The noise was always there, driving your unconscious actions and reactions. Now, you will learn to relate to it in a completely new way. You will learn that you are not the noise, you are the one who hears it. This is the foundational secret of all inner freedom. You are not your thoughts, you are not your emotions. You are the silent, aware presence that witnesses the thoughts and emotions as they pass. There is a part of you, a core of your being, that is never touched by the drama, the turmoil, or the ecstasy of the mind. It is the silent watcher, the awareness itself. To cultivate a relationship with this watcher is the most important skill you will ever develop. It is the beginning of the end of suffering. Imagine yourself now, not in a hall of mirrors, but sitting peacefully on the bank of a great river. This river is your mind. It is the stream of consciousness that flows through you, day and night, without ceasing. On some days, the river is a raging, muddy torrent, filled with the debris of a storm. These are the days your mind is consumed with anger, anxiety, or fear. The water is brown and chaotic, and large, heavy logs of resentment and old wounds are churned up from the riverbed, crashing against the banks. On other days, the river is slow, thick, and murky, like a stagnant swamp. This is the mind of lethargy, of hopelessness, where thoughts move sluggishly, coated in the algae of sadness. And on other days, the river is clear. The water flows with a gentle, sparkling energy, and you can see the smooth, colorful stones on the bottom. These are the moments of joy, inspiration, and peace. Your practice, the art of sacred observation, is to simply sit on the bank and watch the river go by. You are the observer on the bank. You are not the river itself. A heavy, dark log of a painful memory floats past. You have a choice. The old way was to see the log, identify it as my pain, and immediately jump into the freezing water to grab hold of it. Once you grabbed it, the current would catch you both, and you would be tumbled downstream, battered and bruised, inseparable from the very object of your suffering. You become the pain. The new way, the way of the sacred observer, is to remain on the bank. You see the log float by, and you simply note it without judgment. Ah, there is a memory. There is a feeling of sadness. You breathe. You feel the solid ground beneath you, and you let the log continue on its journey down the river until it disappears from view. You have witnessed it, you have acknowledged it, but you have not become it. A moment later, a flurry of sharp, pointed sticks comes bobbing past. These are your anxious thoughts about the future. What if this happens? What if that goes wrong? The old way was to leap into the water and try to grab every single stick, believing you could somehow control them, arrange them, or stop them. In doing so, you would only exhaust yourself and get cut by their sharp edges. You become the anxiety. The new way is to watch them from the bank. There is worry. There is the mind planning for a future that does not exist. You do not deny the sticks are there. You do not pretend they are not sharp. You simply observe them as objects floating in the river of your mind, separate from the silent observer who is you. This practice of non-identification is the alchemy that turns lead into gold. When you consistently refuse to jump into the river, when you stay anchored in the awareness of the watcher, the objects in the river begin to lose their power. Thoughts and emotions are like clouds in the sky. They need your energy, your belief, your identification to sustain them. When you observe a thought without becoming it, you cut off its fuel supply. It arises, it is seen, and because it is not fed, it naturally dissolves back into the nothingness from which it came. This creates space, a tiny gap at first, between one thought and the next. But as you practice, this space grows. This space is peace. This space is freedom. This space is the silence where you can hear the whisper of your own soul beneath the roar of the mind's river. So how does one begin? Gently. There is no force required. You can begin right now. Bring your awareness to your breath. Feel the air entering your body and feel it leaving. Your breath is your anchor. It is always in the present moment. It is your spot on the riverbank. Now, just notice the thoughts that arise. Do not try to stop them. That is like trying to build a dam with your bare hands. It is impossible and frustrating. Simply let the river flow. Your only job is to notice when you have left the bank and jumped into the water. And you will. 1,000 times. You will be sitting there, watching, and suddenly you will realize you have been lost in a daydream or tangled up in a worry for the last 5 minutes. You have been carried miles downstream. The moment you realize this is a moment of victory. There is no need for self-criticism. That is just another log in the river. You simply, gently, and with great kindness to yourself, acknowledge that you were lost, and you guide your awareness back to your anchor, back to the breath, back to the solid ground of the riverbank. This act of returning over and over without judgment is the practice. It is the strengthening of the muscle of awareness. As you sit here on this metaphorical bank, watching the endless parade of thoughts and feelings, a new question will begin to form in the quiet space you have created. You will start to notice patterns in the debris. It seems to be the same heavy log of resentment that floats by every morning. It's the same cluster of anxious sticks that appears every time you think about your career. Where is all of this coming from? If you are the observer on the bank, who or what is upstream throwing all of this into the water? The observation of the what naturally leads to the question of the whence. To answer this, we must embark on the next stage of our inner journey. We must travel upstream, past the rapids of the conscious mind, to the deep, silent, and powerful headwaters from which the entire river originates. We must prepare ourselves for a descent into the vault of the subconscious. We have been sitting on the riverbank, learning the sacred art of observation. We have watched the logs of old resentments and the sharp sticks of future worries float by. We have practiced staying separate, anchored in the silent awareness that is our true self. But in this stillness, a question has emerged from the depths. Why does the same debris keep appearing? Why does the river of the mind seem to follow the same familiar and often painful course day after day? The answer does not lie in the river itself, but at its source. To find it, we must leave the comfortable bank and begin a journey upstream. This is not a journey outward, but a descent inward. We are going down into the vast, silent, and powerful archives of the soul. We are descending into the vault of the subconscious mind. Imagine your consciousness is an iceberg. The small tip that you see above the water, the part that thinks, analyzes, and makes daily decisions is your conscious mind. It is the part of you that is listening to these words right now. But beneath the surface of the water, vast and unseen, lies the immense mass of the iceberg. This is your subconscious. It is the repository of every experience you have ever had, every word you have ever heard, every emotion you have ever felt. It is the storehouse of your beliefs, your habits, your automatic reactions, and your deepest assumptions about yourself and the world. It operates silently, powerfully, and ceaselessly, governing an estimated 95% of your life. It is the silent architect of your destiny, the unseen puppeteer pulling the strings of your reality. For too long, we have treated the subconscious as a dark cellar full of monsters, a place to be feared or ignored. But it is not your enemy. It is a supremely powerful and perfectly neutral servant. It functions like a computer's operating system, running the programs it has been given without question or judgment. Its primary directive is to prove you right. It works tirelessly, day and night, to create a reality that matches the blueprints you have given it. The problem is, most of us have no idea what blueprints we handed over. These programs were written long ago, in the vulnerable, impressionable years of childhood, through repetition and intense emotional experiences. A parent's casual remark, a teacher's criticism, a moment of failure, or shame-these were not just fleeting events. They were lines of code being written directly into your foundational programming. This is why willpower so often fails. The conscious mind, the 5% captain on the deck of the ship, decides, "Today, I will be confident and successful." It shouts its new orders. But the 95% crew in the engine room, the subconscious, looks down at the master blueprint it has held for decades. A blueprint that might read, "I am not worthy," or "The world is a dangerous place." And whose instruction do you think wins? It is not a fair fight. It is one person on the deck against the immense, coordinated machinery of the entire vessel. The crew in the engine room will faithfully and efficiently continue to steer the ship towards the familiar shores of unworthiness and danger, all while the captain on the deck grows hoarse and exhausted, wondering why he keeps ending up in the same place. To change the ship's course, you cannot just shout new orders from the deck. You must go down into the engine room and hand the crew a new set of blueprints. You must persuade the subconscious. Let us return to a metaphor of the earth. Your subconscious mind is like a vast expanse of deep, dark, and incredibly fertile soil. It is utterly impartial. It possesses an infinite potential to grow anything at all. It will grow a beautiful rose or a deadly nightshade with the exact same impersonal efficiency. It does not care about your hopes or wishes. It does not respond to your pleas. It responds to only one thing, the seeds that are planted in it. Your conscious mind is the gardener. You walk upon the surface of this earth. Every thought you think, every belief you hold, every word you speak is a seed in your hand. When you have a fleeting, unimportant thought, it is like a seed that falls on hard, sun-baked ground. It has little effect. But when you take a thought and you repeat it over and over, when you saturate it with the conviction of belief, you are taking a seed and carefully, deliberately planting it in the fertile soil of your subconscious. When you say to yourself, "I never have enough money," you are not just describing a temporary condition. You are planting a seed of lack. When you believe, "I am unlovable," you are planting a seed of loneliness. When you consistently assume, "Things always go wrong for me," you are planting a seed of misfortune, and the subconscious, the ever-faithful soil, accepts these seeds without question. It begins to marshal all its immense resources, your perception, your intuition, your energy, your body language, to ensure that this seed grows into a magnificent, undeniable reality. It will filter the world so that you only notice evidence of lack. It will guide you to behave in ways that push love away. It will orchestrate circumstances that confirm your belief in disaster. Then, you, the gardener, look at your life, a garden overgrown with the weeds of lack and loneliness, and you wonder why. You blame the soil, but the soil has only been faithful to the seeds you gave it. You cannot plant an apple seed and logically persuade the soil to yield an orange tree. The language of this deep realm is not logic, it is not reason. Arguing with your subconscious is as futile as arguing with the soil. The subconscious understands the language of feeling, of imagery, of metaphor, and above all, of repetition. It learns through experience, real or imagined. This is why affirmations spoken like a parrot, with no feeling or belief behind them, are like seeds made of plastic. They will never germinate. You can stand in your garden all day chanting, "I am a beautiful rose." But if, with your other hand, you are still planting the living seeds of your belief that you are a weed, your garden will tell the true story. The persuasion must go deeper. It must be felt. You must provide the subconscious not just with a new seed, but with the living experience of the flower you wish to become. So, here we stand. We understand that our life's garden is the result of the seeds we have unconsciously planted in the fertile soil of the subconscious. We understand that to change the garden, we must change the seeds. We must begin to consciously choose the thoughts and beliefs we wish to cultivate. But a seed, even the most perfect seed, planted in the most fertile soil, will lie dormant in the darkness forever without two final, essential elements. It requires water, it requires sunlight. Without these, there is no life, no germination, no growth. What is the water in this inner world? What is the sunlight that activates the dormant seed of a new belief and commands it to grow? It is the most potent creative force in the universe. It is the raw power of emotion, the energy of pure feeling. To learn how to wield this power, to bake our new reality into being, we must now turn our attention to the alchemical fire, the very engine of creation. We must learn to forge our reality in the kiln of feeling. We have descended into the great, silent vault of the subconscious. We have stood before the fertile, impartial soil of our own being and understood that it is we who have been the gardeners, unconsciously planting the seeds of our current reality. We have resolved, now, to become conscious gardeners, to choose with care the seeds of the life we wish to cultivate. We hold in our hands the seeds of abundance, of love, of peace, of wholeness. We have planted them with intention in the deep, dark earth of our inner world. And now we wait. But nothing happens. The seeds lie dormant. The garden remains unchanged. Why? Because we have missed the most vital, most dynamic element of all creation. A seed, no matter how perfect, will never sprout in dry, cold ground. It requires water to soften its shell. It requires the energy of the sun to call it forth into life. In the garden of the mind, this water, this sunlight, this life-giving energy is one thing and one thing only: feeling. The universe, in its infinite intelligence, is not an intellectual. It is an artist. It does not respond to the dry logic of thought alone. It responds to the passionate language of the heart. A thought, a desire, a goal, is like a blueprint for a house. It is a detailed, precise, and necessary plan. But a blueprint is not a house. You cannot live in it. It is cold, flat, and without dimension. It is pure information, devoid of life. Feeling is the energy that brings the blueprint to life. It is the construction crew, the raw materials, the electricity, the force that takes the abstract plan and manifests it into a three-dimensional structure you can walk into and experience. You can hold the thought, "I am wealthy," in your mind for an eternity. But if you do not feel the reality of wealth, the blueprint remains just a piece of paper. The creative process is a marriage of thought and feeling. The thought provides the direction, the what. The feeling provides the fuel, the how. This is the secret that mystics and masters have spoken of for millennia, often in veiled terms. The secret is to assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Read those words again. Not to imagine the wish fulfilled, not to hope for the wish to be fulfilled, but to assume the feeling. This is a profound, transformative act of inner alchemy. It is the conscious decision to generate, within your own body, the precise emotional state you would be in if your desire were already a concrete fact of your life. Close your eyes and ask yourself, if my deepest desire were realized this very moment, what would I feel? Would it be the exhilarating thrill of victory, the quiet, profound relief of a long struggle ended, the warm, expansive glow of love, the deep, unshakable peace of security? Identify that feeling. That feeling is the destination. And in the quantum world of consciousness, arriving at the destination in your feeling state is the very act that makes the journey possible. Let us use a different metaphor, one of fire and force. Imagine that the unmanifested world, the infinite potential from which all things are born, is like a block of cold, hard steel. It is immensely strong, but it is formless. Your desire, your specific intention, is like a mold, a die cast in the exact shape of what you want to create. You can press that cold mold against the cold steel all you want. Nothing will happen. The steel will not yield. This is the experience of repeating affirmations without emotion, of using sheer willpower to force a change. It is a frustrating and fruitless effort. But now, imagine that your feeling, your emotion, is the fire of a blacksmith's forge. Your job is to take the cold steel of potential and place it in the intense heat of your feeling. In this fire, the steel begins to glow. It softens. It becomes malleable, suggestible, ready to take on a new form. Now, when you apply the mold of your intention to the white-hot steel of potential, it yields instantly. It flows into every crevice of the mold, taking on its exact shape. Then, as it cools, it hardens into a new, solid, and permanent reality. This is creation. The thought is the mold. The feeling is the fire. Without the fire of feeling, the raw material of reality remains inert and unchanged. Your emotional state is a living magnet, broadcasting a specific frequency into the universe. Every feeling has a unique vibrational signature. The feeling of gratitude vibrates at a frequency that can only attract more experiences to be grateful for. The feeling of love sends out a signal that draws loving people and circumstances into its field. The feeling of profound inner peace magnetizes a calm and harmonious reality. Conversely, the feeling of lack, of "I do not have enough," is also a powerful magnet. It is perfectly tuned to attract bills you cannot pay, unexpected expenses, and constant reminders of its own truth. The feeling of resentment is a magnet for more situations that will make you feel resentful. The universe does not judge these frequencies. It simply matches them. It cannot give you abundance if you are broadcasting the frequency of lack. It is a law, as impersonal and as reliable as gravity. You cannot feel the cold sting of loneliness and expect the universe to deliver the warm embrace of connection. You must generate the warmth first. The feeling is the prayer that is never unheard. And here we arrive at the great practical challenge of this work. The mind immediately rebels. How can I feel abundant when my bank account is empty? How can I feel loved when I am alone? How can I feel healthy when my body is in pain? This is absurd. It is delusional. And from the perspective of the conscious mind, trapped in the evidence of the five senses, it is right. To try and generate a feeling that is in direct opposition to your physical reality is the great work. It is the point where the spiritual warrior is truly forged. It requires you to make a decision more real than what your eyes can see and what your hands can touch. It requires you to place more faith in the unseen reality within you than in the temporary, illusory world outside of you. This is not an easy task. It cannot be done haphazardly in the midst of the noise and distraction of daily life. The outer world is constantly bombarding you with evidence of the old reality. The news, the opinions of others, the reflection in the mirror, they all scream the old story. To attempt to nurture the fragile, new feeling of your wish fulfilled in this chaotic environment is like trying to light a candle in a hurricane. The flame will be extinguished before it even has a chance to catch. Therefore, to do this work, to successfully operate the kiln of feeling, you must first build a sanctuary. You must create an inner space, a fortress of solitude where the winds of the outer world cannot reach. You need a place of profound quiet where the flame of your new feeling can be kindled, protected, and fanned until it becomes a roaring, unquenchable blaze. You must learn to build the architecture of silence. We have arrived at the heart of the great work. We hold the new seed of our desire in our hand. We stand before the fertile soil of the subconscious, and we understand that the life-giving energy required for it to grow is the fire of our own feeling. But we are trying to light this sacred fire in the middle of a hurricane. The world screams its contrary evidence. The senses report only the old story of lack, of loneliness, of limitation. Every attempt to feel abundant is met with the loud reality of a bill to be paid. Every effort to feel loved is contradicted by the silence of an empty room. To persist in this endeavor, to protect the fragile flame of a new feeling until it can roar into a blaze, requires the creation of a sanctuary. You cannot do this work on the noisy battlefield of the everyday world. You must first retreat. You must construct within yourself an architecture of silence. When you hear the word silence, what comes to mind? The absence of noise, an empty room. For most, silence is a vacuum, a nothingness. But this is a profound misunderstanding. True, sacred silence is not an absence, it is a presence. It is the most powerful presence in the universe. It is the canvas upon which all of creation is painted. The canvas itself is never the red, the blue, or the black of the painting. It is the pure, untouched potential that allows the colors to be. Silence is the still, quiet space between your thoughts. It is the background of awareness that was here before your first thought and will be here after your last. It is not empty, it is full. It is full of peace, full of intelligence, and full of a deep, resonant power that is drowned out by the constant chatter of the analytical mind. Building a sanctuary of silence is not about escaping the world. It is about accessing the dimension within yourself from which the world is created. So how does one build this inner architecture? It begins with a conscious, deliberate act of withdrawal. This is not an act of weakness, but of profound strength and self-respect. It is the decision to give yourself the most precious gift of all, your own undivided attention. You must carve out time that is non-negotiable. It may be 5 minutes, it may be an hour. The duration is less important than the intention. This is your time. You lay down the foundation by turning off the world. The phone, the computer, the televisional, the devices designed to pull your attention outward are silenced. You retreat from the endless conversation, the endless stream of information and opinion. You close the door on the world, not to hide from it, but to remember who you are without it. You close your eyes. The walls of your sanctuary are built by this simple act of shutting out the ceaseless demands on your senses. Now, you are inside. At first, it may feel more chaotic than the world you left behind. The inner river of thought roars, but you do not fight it. You simply sit. You bring your attention to your breath, the gentle anchor in the eternal now. You allow the thoughts to be there, but you no longer offer them a seat. You let them be homeless wanderers, passing through the great silent hall of your awareness. The practice is to continually, gently, return to the silence. Return to the feeling of being. Return to the simple, profound fact that you are aware. This is you, erecting the great dome of your inner cathedral. The silence is not something you must create, it is something you must allow. It is already here. It is the ground of your being. Your work is to simply stop obscuring it with noise. Let us use our metaphor of the radio. Your mind is the most sophisticated radio receiver ever created, capable of tuning into an infinite number of broadcasts. For most of your life, this radio has been poorly tuned. The dial is stuck between stations, broadcasting a relentless stream of static hiss and fragmented noise. This static is the voice of the ego. It is the sound of fear, of worry, of complaint, of judgment, of replaying the past and rehearsing the future. We have listened to this static for so long, we have come to believe that this is the only program available. We think the noise is life itself. We try to live our lives, make decisions, and find peace, all while this deafening static screams in our ears. The act of building your architecture of silence is the act of reaching out a steady hand and gently, patiently, beginning to turn the tuning dial of your own consciousness. You are not trying to break the radio. You are not trying to stop the broadcast. You are simply, carefully, searching for a clearer frequency. As you turn the dial, you will move past many noisy stations. The station of self-pity, the station of anger, the station of frantic planning. Your only job is to keep turning, not with force, but with sensitive attention. And then, you will begin to find it. A space between the stations where the static fades, a moment of pure, clear signal. In this clarity, you hear a different kind of broadcast. It is not a loud, commanding voice. It is a whisper. It is the frequency of intuition. It is the broadcast of deep knowing, of profound peace. It is the voice of the universe, of your higher self, and it has been broadcasting to you without fail for your entire life. You just couldn't hear it through the noise. In this silent, resonant chamber you have built, everything changes. You are no longer trying to forge reality in the fire of feeling amidst a hurricane. You are now in the calm, controlled environment of the master blacksmith's workshop. Here, in the stillness, the fragile feeling of your wish fulfilled can be kindled without threat. You can feel the relief, the gratitude, the joy, and the silence will amplify it, protect it, and allow it to saturate your being. Here, the answers you have been desperately seeking through frantic thought begin to arise on their own, as quiet insights, as effortless solutions. You stop arguing with reality, because in the silence, you feel your connection to the power that creates reality. The need for argument falls away. Peace is no longer something you chase. It is the very atmosphere of the sanctuary you now inhabit. From this place of profound inner quiet, you are finally prepared for the most direct and potent form of creation. For too long, we have used our words cheaply. We have thrown them around in the noisy marketplace of the world, where they are rendered weak and weightless by the surrounding chaos. But a word spoken from the deep, resonant chamber of inner silence is a thing of immense power. It is a command. It is a spell. It is a seed planted not just with intention, but with the full, focused, and undivided power of a consciousness that is at peace. Now that you have built the sanctuary and tuned into the clear frequency, you are ready to speak. You are ready to learn how a single, well-chosen word, spoken from the heart of stillness, can shape the fabric of the cosmos. You are ready to discover the alchemy of your word. We have built our inner sanctuary. We have stepped out of the hurricane of the world and into the profound, resonant stillness of our own being. Here, in the architecture of silence, the frantic energy of the mind subsides, and the roaring river of thought slows to a gentle, crystalline stream. We have tuned the radio of our consciousness past the static of the ego and have found the clear, silent frequency of our true nature. From this sacred space, and only from this space, are we ready to engage in the most direct and potent form of creation. For too long we have squandered our greatest creative power, casting it carelessly into the wind. Now, we will learn to wield it with the reverence and precision of a master alchemist. We are here to explore the alchemy of your word. A word spoken from a state of inner turmoil is a thing of weakness. It is a reaction, a complaint, a sigh of resignation. It carries the chaotic, scattered frequency of the noise from which it was born. It is an echo of an old story, a feather in the wind, dissipating the moment it is uttered. A word spoken from the heart of silence is another thing entirely. It is a declaration. It is a command. It is an originating force. It does not dissipate. It reverberates. It emerges not from the chaos of the surface, but from the still, deep center of power within you. Its authority comes not from its volume, but from the infinite depth of the silence it has displaced. Think of it as a stone dropped into a perfectly still lake, a single small stone. The ripples it creates travel outward, unimpeded, to the farthest shores. 1,000 stones dropped into a raging sea have no discernible effect. The first act of verbal alchemy, therefore, is to speak less and to speak from a deeper place. It is to value your words as the precious creative currency they are, and to spend them only from the boundless treasury of your inner stillness. To understand this alchemy, we must understand that a word is not merely a sound or a symbol. A word is a vibrational vessel. It is a packet of condensed energy, coded with a specific frequency. The ancient traditions knew this. They called it incantation, mantra, the divine name. Modern physics is only just beginning to catch up, describing a universe made not of solid things, but of vibrating fields of energy. When you speak a word, you are not just making a sound. You are emitting a precise vibrational blueprint into the quantum field of infinite potential. The word love is not a label for an emotion. It is a carrier wave for the actual frequency of expansion, of acceptance, of union. The word fear is not an abstract concept. It is a vibrational command for contraction, for separation, for defense. Your body, your cells, your very DNA respond to the frequencies you generate with your speech. And the universe, the great mirror of your consciousness, has no choice but to reflect back to you a reality that is in harmonic resonance with the words you consistently use to define it. Of all the words you will ever speak, none are more powerful, more creative, than those which follow the two most sacred words of all. I am. I am is the name of God, the name of pure, unconditioned being. It is the statement of existence itself. Whatever you attach to I am, you become. It is a direct command to the subconscious mind and to the universe. It is the beginning of all creation. We use it so carelessly. We say, I am so tired. And the universe, the faithful servant, hears the command and orchestrates a reality of fatigue. We say, I am broke. And the creative forces of the cosmos conspire to drain our resources. We say, I am always getting sick. And our cells, listening intently, receive their instructions. These are not descriptions of reality. These are incantations of self-hypnosis. They are destructive spells you are casting upon yourself, minute by minute, day by day. The alchemical work is to reclaim the divine power of your I am. It is to consciously, deliberately, and with feeling, attach it to that which you wish to be. I am strong. I am abundant. I am whole. I am peace. At first, the mind will rebel. It will call this a lie, but it is not a lie. It is the declaration of a deeper truth, a truth that has been obscured by years of unconscious, negative programming. You are claiming your divine birthright, using the name of God to define yourself as God intended you to be. Let us now deepen our central metaphor. Your life, in all its boundless potential, is a flawless, magnificent block of Carrara marble. It contains Within it, every possibility, the most beautiful sculpture imaginable, and a pile of worthless rubble. It is pure, unformed potential. You are the sculptor. Your true self, the silent watcher, is the master artist. And your words are your tools. They are the hammers and chisels in your hands. A master sculptor does not approach such a precious piece of marble with carelessness. They do not simply start hacking away. First, they stand in silence. They commune with the stone. They hold a clear vision within their mind of the masterpiece they intend to reveal from within it. This vision is your clear, focused intention, born from the stillness we have cultivated. The unconscious person is a clumsy sculptor. They are working in the dark, unaware of the power of the tools they hold. Their words are the chisels, and they swing them wildly. A word of gossip is a careless blow that sends a jagged crack through the stone. A word of self-criticism is a clumsy strike that chips off a vital piece. A complaint is a grating sound of the chisel scraping uselessly against the surface, creating dust and noise but no beauty. This clumsy sculptor looks at the marred, damaged block of marble that is their life and blames the stone. This is bad marble, they say. It's flawed, it's too hard. They blame the workshop. They blame the other sculptors. They never realize that the disastrous state of their creation is the direct result of the unskilled and unconscious way they have wielded their own tools. The master sculptor, the conscious creator, works differently. Their workshop is the sanctuary of silence. Their vision is clear and held with feeling. They select their tools with immense care. They know that for the rough work of removing large, unwanted chunks of negativity, the remnants of old beliefs and past traumas, they need a heavy hammer and a broad chisel. These are their powerful declarations. That is not my story anymore. I am free from the past. I release all that does not serve my highest good. These are not gentle words. They are forceful, decisive blows that hew away the excess stone, revealing the rough outline of the masterpiece within. Then, the master begins the finer work. They pick up the smaller, more delicate chisels. These are their daily words, their affirmations, their blessings. Each word is chosen for its specific shape and purpose. A word of gratitude is a fine chisel that smooths a rough edge. A word of forgiveness, for themselves or another, is a special tool that repairs a hidden fissure. A word of self-love, whispered in a quiet moment, is the most delicate chisel of all, used to carve the gentle, beautiful details of the face, the expression of bliss on the emerging form. The master works with patience, with love, and with reverence for the stone. They know that each tap of the chisel, each spoken word, is a creative act that is shaping their reality. They are not trying to force the stone to become something it is not. They are lovingly releasing the perfection that was always waiting within it. In this alchemical process, it is vital to understand the difference between simply speaking and making a declaration. Speaking is often a passive description of the world as it appears to be. It is raining. The traffic is bad. I feel tired. This is the language of the observer, of the one who is subject to circumstances. A declaration is the language of the creator, the sovereign of their own reality. It is a statement of cause, not effect. The master sculptor does not say, "The stone appears to be chipping." The master declares, with a precise tap of the chisel, "Here there shall be smoothness." A declaration is a word infused with the authority of your I am. It is not a request to the universe. It is not a hopeful wish. It is a calm, firm statement of truth, spoken from the core of your being, irrespective of the current evidence of your senses. It is claiming your reality. "Let there be light" was not a suggestion. It was a declaration. "I am the resurrection and the life" was not a hope. It was a declaration. You must begin to speak with this same quiet authority over the domain of your own life. This is the art and science of the alchemy of your word. It is a path of immense power and profound responsibility. But as you begin to practice this, as you stand in your silent sanctuary and begin to consciously wield your words to sculpt your world, you will immediately encounter the greatest obstacle to this work. You will encounter the internal vandal, the anti-alchemist. As you pick up your chisel to carve a line of beauty, a voice, which sounds remarkably like your own, will whisper in your ear, "You don't know what you're doing. You're going to ruin it. You're not a real sculptor. This is a fraud." This is the voice of the inner critic, the embodiment of all your conditioned doubt and fear. It is the clumsy apprentice who is constantly trying to wrest the tools from the master's hands. The immediate temptation is to argue with this voice, to try and overpower it with louder affirmations. But this is a battle you cannot win. Arguing with the critic only makes it stronger, for it feeds on the very energy of your attention. So, what does the master sculptor do when the noisy, doubtful apprentice begins to complain? They do not argue, they do not fight. There is a far more elegant and far more effective strategy. You must learn to starve the inner critic. You are in your sacred workshop, the silent sanctuary of your mind. You have envisioned the masterpiece you wish to carve from the marble of your life. You have chosen your tool, the powerful, creative chisel of your word. You approach the stone, ready to make the first intentional mark, and then you hear it. A whisper that sounds like your own voice, but feels cold and heavy. You can't do this. Who are you to attempt such a thing? You will fail just like you always do. This is the voice of the saboteur, the ghost in your own machine. The internal vandal who seeks to shatter your masterpiece before it is even begun. This is the inner critic, and how you deal with this voice will determine whether your alchemy succeeds or fails. This critic is the self-appointed guardian of your old identity. It is the manifestation of every fear, every doubt, and every limiting belief you have ever absorbed. Its sole function is to keep you safe by keeping you small. It thrives on the familiar territory of your past failures and present limitations. Your decision to create a new reality is a direct threat to its existence, and it will use its most powerful weapon to stop you: your own words turned against you. The immediate human instinct is to fight back. When the critic says, "You are weak," the instinct is to shout back in your mind, "No, I am strong." When it says, "This is impossible," you want to argue, to present evidence, to plead your case. You engage the critic in a debate, believing that if you can just win the argument, it will finally leave you in peace. This is the most debilitating mistake you can make. It is a trap and a battle you can never win. To argue with the inner critic is to validate it. The moment you engage it in a debate, you are implicitly agreeing that it is a real and worthy opponent. You are treating a shadow as if it were a substance. Imagine trying to wrestle with your own shadow. You can lunge at it, try to pin it down, scream at it, but what happens? You only exhaust yourself. You expend all your energy fighting a phantom that has no substance of its own, while the shadow itself remains perfectly untouched, mockingly attached to you, mimicking your every frantic move. In fact, it thrives on this struggle. Your emotional engagement, your frustration, your anger, this is the very energy it feeds on. The more you fight, the stronger, darker, and more solid the shadow appears to be. You are feeding the very entity you are trying to destroy. There is a more elegant and infinitely more powerful way. It is the way of the master. The master understands that you do not fight a shadow by wrestling with it. You diminish a shadow by turning toward the light. The strategy is not one of confrontation, but of profound and deliberate neglect. You must learn to starve your inner critic by withdrawing from it the only food it consumes, the light of your conscious attention. Let us refine our metaphor. See this inner critic not as a monster to be slain, but as a hungry ghost that haunts the halls of your mind. This ghost is transparent, weak, and has no power of its own. It cannot touch you. It cannot harm you. All it can do is whisper. Its only hope for survival is to trick you into believing it is real. And it does this by provoking you, by getting you to react, by drawing your focus. The moment you turn to look at it, the moment you feel outrage or fear, you are sending a stream of pure, life-giving energy to it. With this energy, it temporarily solidifies. It can now seem menacing, real, and powerful. But its power is borrowed, moment by moment, from you. The secret is to cut off the supply line. This is how it is done. The next time the voice of the critic emerges, the next time the hungry ghost whispers its litany of doubt, you will not fight, you will not argue, you will not even try to ignore it, as ignoring is an active form of resistance. Instead, you will practice the simple two-step art of acknowledge and pivot. First, you acknowledge, calmly, and with a sense of detached curiosity, as if you were a scientist observing a phenomenon. You simply note its presence. Ah, there it is, the voice of fear. Or, I see you, the old story of not being good enough. Hello again. You do not judge it. You do not hate it. You offer it no resistance. You simply acknowledge its appearance on the screen of your awareness. You are the vast, silent sky, acknowledging a small, dark cloud passing through. This simple act of neutral labeling prevents the voice from unconsciously hooking you and pulling you into its drama. You have seen it, and in seeing it without reacting, you have already separated yourself from it. Second, and this is the decisive move, you pivot. A pivot is a gentle, effortless, and deliberate shift in focus. You do not push the voice away. You simply withdraw the light of your attention from it and place that light somewhere else. You turn your back on the ghost. Where do you pivot to? You pivot to something real, something present. Pivot your attention to the physical sensation of your breath entering and leaving your body. Pivot to the feeling of your hands, the warmth, the tingling aliveness in them. Pivot your attention to the silent, knowing presence of the I am within you, the watcher on the riverbank. Or, most powerfully, you pivot back to the work at hand. You withdraw your attention from the critic's voice, and you place it fully on generating the feeling of your wish already fulfilled. You ignore the whispers of the ghost by becoming completely absorbed in the beauty of your intended creation. This is not a one-time event. This is a practice. In the beginning, you may have to do this 100 times a day. The critic is a creature of habit, and it will test you relentlessly. It will scream louder, trying to provoke you into the old familiar fight. But you will not be provoked. You will just acknowledge and pivot. Acknowledge and pivot. Acknowledge and pivot. Each time you do this, you are performing a powerful act of spiritual discipline. You are retraining your brain. You are reclaiming your power. And what happens over time? The hungry ghost, deprived of its only source of nourishment, begins to weaken. The shadow, no longer illuminated by the bright beam of your focused attention, begins to fade. Its voice becomes fainter. Its visits become less frequent and less convincing. It does not die in a dramatic, final battle. It simply, quietly, dissolves from neglect. It withers away into the nothingness from which it was created, because you have finally stopped believing in it. You have stopped making it real. As the voice of the critic fades, a profound peace and clarity will begin to permeate your inner world. The workshop of your mind becomes quiet. Now you can hear your own true voice, the voice of your intuition, the voice of inspiration. But this victory, as profound as it is, leads to a deeper inquiry. Why was this critic so powerful to begin with? What is the root system that allowed this weed to grow so strong in the garden of your mind? Starving the critic is like trimming the branches of a dead tree. It is necessary, and it makes the garden more beautiful. But to ensure it never grows back, you must pull up the root. The critic's power is drawn from one single, foundational lie which it was created to protect. The deeply buried belief that your worth as a being is not inherent, but is something that must be earned, proven, and constantly defended. To achieve ultimate freedom, we must now turn our attention to this fundamental error in our programming. We must expose and dismantle the great universal fallacy of earning worthiness. We have stood firm against the onslaught of the inner critic. We have learned the subtle art of starving this hungry ghost, not by fighting it, but by calmly withdrawing the light of our attention. The workshop of the mind is becoming quieter, but as the saboteur's voice fades, we are granted the clarity to see the very ground upon which it stood, the root system from which it drew all its nourishment. The critic was merely a symptom, a guard dog barking to protect a deeper, more fundamental program. This program is a piece of code written into the operating system of nearly every human being on the planet. It is the great foundational lie that has been the source of immeasurable suffering. It is the belief that your worth is conditional. This program runs silently, deep beneath the level of your conscious thought. It whispers that you were born with a deficit, with an essential piece missing. It tells you that your worth is not a given, but a prize that must be won. And so, it sends you out into the world on a desperate, lifelong scavenger hunt. You must earn your worth, it insists. You must prove you are good enough. How? By achieving, by acquiring, by performing, by gaining the approval of others. Your life ceases to be an experience of joyful unfolding and becomes a frantic, unending audition. You must get the right grades, the right job, the right partner, the right house. You must be smarter, funnier, richer, more beautiful. Each achievement gives you a temporary hit of feeling worthy, but it fades because the underlying program remains unchanged. It is a game that is designed to be unwinnable. The finish line is a mirage that constantly recedes as you approach it. This is the source of the relentless striving, the gnawing anxiety of imposter syndrome, the desperate need for external validation. It is the heavy, invisible burden that makes you feel you must constantly justify your own existence. Today, in the stillness of this sanctuary, we are here to uninstall this program. We are here to name it for what it is, a fallacy, a lie, and we will replace it with the simple, profound, and liberating truth. The truth is this: you are inherently worthy. Your worth is not something you earn. It is not something you can lose. It is not dependent on your actions, your accomplishments, your failures, your bank balance, or the opinions of others. Your worth is absolute, unconditional, and intrinsic to your very existence. It was sealed into your being the moment you were conceived. It is your divine birthright. You are worthy not because of what you do, but because of who you are. You are a unique expression of life, a facet of the universal consciousness, and in this, your value is infinite and unquestionable. Let this truth wash over you. Let it sink past the skeptical mind and into the very marrow of your bones. There is nothing you have to do to be worthy. You already are. Let us find a metaphor in nature, for nature never lies. Consider a single acorn held in the palm of your hand. It is small, plain, and unassuming. Now, ask yourself this: does this acorn need to earn its right to become a mighty oak tree? Does it need to perform well, to outcompete the other acorns, to prove itself to the forest? Does it worry that it is not yet a magnificent, towering tree? The very idea is absurd. The acorn is not in a state of unworthiness, hoping to one day achieve oakness. The acorn is perfect, whole, and complete in its acornness. And, locked within its humble shell, is the entire perfect blueprint for the magnificent oak tree it is destined to become. Its job is not to strive, or to prove, or to earn. Its job is simply to surrender to the process of its own becoming. It needs only to fall on fertile ground and to receive the water and the sunlight. The unfolding is a natural, effortless consequence of its own inherent design. You are that acorn. You are a seed of the cosmos, planted in this world. The universe made no mistake in your creation. Within you, at this very moment, is the complete and perfect blueprint for the fullest, most magnificent expression of your life. For decades, you have been behaving like an acorn that believes it is flawed, an acorn that is desperately trying to earn the right to be a tree. You have been comparing yourself to other acorns, worrying that you are not shiny enough, not big enough, constantly striving to be a better acorn, all while ignoring the immense, divine potential for the oak tree that lies sleeping within you. Your work is not to earn worthiness. Your work is to provide yourself with the fertile inner soil of self-acceptance. Your work is to give yourself the living water of self-love and the warm sunlight of your own focused, positive attention. When you do this, the magnificent oak of your true self will begin to emerge, not through force or effort, but as a natural, graceful, and inevitable unfolding. When you truly, deeply absorb this truth, something extraordinary happens. A great burden is lifted. The frantic, lifelong race to prove yourself is suddenly over. You can finally stop running. You can take a full, deep breath for the first time, an exhale that releases decades of tension you didn't even know you were carrying. This is the great liberation. It does not mean you will become lazy or complacent. On the contrary, you will finally be free to act from a place of joy and inspiration rather than from a place of fear and lack. You will create, not to fill a hole within yourself, but to express the wholeness that is already there. You will seek relationships not to validate your worth, but to share your worth. You will pursue goals not to prove you are good enough, but as a joyful game of expressing your inherent potential. The motivation for your entire life shifts from a desperate need to gain to a joyful desire to express. You stop being a beggar, pleading for scraps of worthiness from the world's table, and you take your seat as the honored guest at the banquet of life. This profound internal shift does more than just make you feel better. It fundamentally changes the signal you are broadcasting to the universe. As long as you were running on the conditional worthiness program, your underlying frequency was one of neediness, of striving, of "I am not enough yet." You were sending out a constant vibrational prayer of lack, and the universe, in its perfect, impartial wisdom, was reflecting back to you a reality that matched the reality of constant striving, of goals just out of reach, of the feeling that you never quite measure up. But now, as you begin to inhabit the truth of your inherent worth, your fundamental frequency changes. You stop broadcasting neediness. You begin to emanate the calm, stable, powerful frequency of I am enough, of I am whole. This is a completely different signal. It is a signal of presence, not absence. And this signal does not go unnoticed. The universe, which is a master of resonance, must now begin to organize a reality around this new core vibration. Now that you have accepted your innate value, you are ready to understand how the universe reads and responds not to your words of asking, but to the undeniable frequency of your being. We have stood in the great hall of mirrors and seen that our reality is a reflection. We have sat on the riverbank and learned to witness our thoughts without becoming them. We have descended into the vault of the subconscious and understood we are the gardeners of our own minds. We have felt the fire of creation in the kiln of our feelings. We have reclaimed the power of our word from the sanctuary of silence. We have starved the inner critic and, most profoundly, we have unearthed the great fallacy of conditional worth and reclaimed our inherent, unconditional birthright. This journey has been a deep and systematic recalibration of your inner world. And now, we must understand why this inner work is the only work that truly matters. we must understand the great impersonal law that governs the translation of your inner state into outer experience. The law has been given many names, but it is often misunderstood. So let us be clear. The universe does not hear your words. It feels your frequency. There is a popular, simplified version of this law which has caused much confusion and disappointment. This version suggests that the universe is a cosmic catalogue, and if you simply think about what you want with enough passion, like placing an order, it will be delivered to you. Many have tried this. They have made vision boards, recited affirmations, and spent hours visualizing a new car or a bigger house, only to be met with frustrating silence. They then conclude that the law is false, or that they are doing it wrong. The error is not in the law, but in the understanding of it. The universe is not a waiter taking your order. The universe is a vast, resonant field of energy, and it operates on one simple, unwavering principle: the law of harmonic resonance. Like attracts like. A vibrating tuning fork will cause another tuning fork of the same frequency to vibrate in sympathy, while forks of a different frequency remain silent. It is not personal, it is physics. Your job is not to ask for what you want. Your job is to become a vibrational match to what you want. So what then is this frequency you are broadcasting? It is not a single thought. It is not a fleeting desire. It is the net result, the dominant average of your entire state of being. It is the cumulative song of your soul, composed of many different instruments. Your conscious thoughts are the melody line, but your deep subconscious beliefs are the powerful bass notes that provide the underlying chord structure. Your words are the lyrics, but the most powerful instrument in this orchestra, the one that determines the volume and emotional impact of the song, is your habitual feeling state. Your frequency is the vibe you give off, the inner climate you live in. Is your inner climate one of anxiety and scarcity, or is it one of peace and gratitude? That dominant background feeling is the primary carrier wave of your broadcast. The work we have done until now, reclaiming your worthiness, silencing the critic, choosing your thoughts, has all been an act of profound frequency tuning. You have been rewriting the music you play. Let us make this even clearer with our metaphor of the radio. Imagine you are the president and chief operator of your own personal radio broadcast tower. Every moment of your life, this tower is emitting a complex signal out into the world. You are broadcasting on a specific frequency. Let us say that for years you have been unconsciously broadcasting on 98.7 FM, the station for struggle. The daily program on this station consists of news reports about what's going wrong in your life, talk shows where you endlessly analyze your problems, and music with lyrics of worry and self-pity. This is the frequency of not enough. Now, you hear about another station, 102.5 FM, the Symphony of Abundance. The program here is one of effortless success, joyful connections, and a deep sense of well-being. And you decide you want to experience that reality. The common, flawed approach is to stay tuned to 98.7 FM, broadcasting your signal of struggle, while simultaneously sending a letter to the universe, begging it to pipe the music from 102.5 FM through your speakers. This is an impossibility. It violates the law of resonance. You cannot receive a broadcast on a frequency you are not tuned to. The work of the master is not to plead with the universe. The work of the master is to walk into their own broadcast tower, to thank 98.7 FM for its service, and to deliberately, consciously, and with focused intention, change their own broadcast frequency to 102.5 FM. You must begin to broadcast the symphony of abundance before it has fully manifested in your life. How? By using your inner sanctuary to cultivate the feelings of abundance. By using your words to speak the language of abundance. By holding the assumption of abundance in your heart. You must become 102.5 FM. Then, and only then, can the universe deliver to you the experiences, people, and circumstances that are a perfect harmonic match to that new signal. This reveals a crucial distinction. You do not attract what you want, you attract who you are. The very act of wanting something intensely often reinforces its absence. To desperately want health is to vibrate at the frequency of sickness. To desperately want love is to broadcast the painful frequency of loneliness. The wanting creates a resistance, a vibrational pushback, because the feeling behind the wanting is lack. The shift, the great secret, is to move from the state of wanting to the state of being. You do not try to attract abundance, you embody the state of being abundant. You walk, talk, and think from the perspective of the person who already has what you desire. This is not about faking it till you make it. It is a profound act of faith, an embodiment of a chosen reality, a claiming of a state of being that then solidifies into fact. You are using the kiln of your feeling to fire the mold of your intention, hardening it into the physical world. This law is not something that turns on and off. It is active in every single moment. Your current life, right now, in all its detail, is a perfect, flawless feedback mechanism, showing you exactly what frequency you have been habitually broadcasting. Look around you. Your health, your relationships, your financial state, they are not random. They are the physical printout of your vibrational song. This realization is not meant to induce guilt, but to empower you. If you have been creating your reality by default, you can now begin to create it by design. And this leads us to the most vital and practical question of all. If my reality is determined by my frequency, and this law is always in operation, when do I have the power to change my broadcast? Where is the control panel for my radio tower located in time? Can you change your frequency by regretting the past? Number. Dwelling on the past only rebroadcasts old, outdated signals, creating more of the same. Can you change it by worrying about the future? Number. Worrying about the future only broadcasts the frequency of anxiety, attracting circumstances to be anxious about. There is only one moment in all of eternity where you have the power to access the controls. There is only one point in time where you can change the dial. That point is now, right now, in this eternal, ever-present moment. To truly wield this power, you must understand the infinite value and creative potential of this single, precious moment. You must learn to master the currency of now. We have uncovered a fundamental law of the universe, that our experienced reality is a harmonic reflection of our dominant frequency. We understand that we are living broadcast towers, constantly emitting a signal that shapes our world. We have accepted that the power to change this signal, to change our lives, rests entirely with us. This leads to the most practical and potent question of all: where and when does this power exist? The answer is at once profoundly simple and the most difficult for the human mind to accept. Your power does not exist in the past you remember, nor in the future you imagine. The total, undivided, and absolute power of your being exists only in one single, ever-present place. It exists now. To unlock your true creative potential, you must learn to master the sacred and only currency of the now. The human mind is a time-traveling machine. By default, it lives almost anywhere but here. It dwells in the vast, shadowy museum of the past, endlessly walking the halls, staring at old exhibits. It looks at the portrait of a past failure, feeling the sting of shame as if it were happening today. It stands before the diorama of an old hurt, feeling the familiar ache of betrayal. It replays conversations, regrets decisions, and resents injustices, all of which are gone, existing only as ghostly imprints in the mind. Or The mind projects itself into the labyrinthine corridors of the future, a place that does not exist. It rehearses for 1,000 potential disasters. It feels anxiety about conversations that may never happen, worries about problems that may never arise, and schemes and plans for a salvation that is always just around the corner. This ceaseless mental time travel is the single greatest thief of your life force. Imagine that your creative power, your conscious attention, is a finite amount of precious water in a vessel. This water can only be used to nourish the garden of your life in the present moment. But when you dwell on the past with regret, you are punching holes in the bottom of your vessel. Your life force, your precious water, is leaking away into the dead soil of a time that is over. When you project into the future with anxiety, you are allowing your water to evaporate into the phantom clouds of a time that has not yet been born. And so, in the only moment you actually have, the only moment you can actually plant a seed or water a flower, this moment, now your vessel is nearly empty. You feel drained, powerless, and ineffective, wondering why you cannot seem to change your life, all the while hemorrhaging your creative power into the two timelines that have no reality. To heal this, you must plug the leaks. You must bring all of your power, all of your attention, out of the phantoms of past and future, and concentrate it fully into the living reality of the present moment. Let us use another image. See this present moment, this very teen, now, as a single pristine sheet of pure white paper. It is your only canvas. It is the only creative medium you will ever be given. Every morning, you are handed a fresh sheet. Now, observe what the untrained mind does. It takes this clean, sacred page, and with the crayons of memory, it immediately begins to redraw the painful scribble from yesterday's page. It meticulously recreates the image of the argument it had, the mistake it made, the opportunity it lost. It uses the vibrant, living potential of the now to give life to the dead ghosts of the past. Or it takes the pristine page and fills it with anxious, chaotic sketches of 100 possible futures. It draws monsters in the margins, pictures of catastrophe, diagrams of everything that could go wrong. It defiles the sacred canvas of the present with the phantoms of a non-existent tomorrow. In both cases, the page is filled, the creative energy of the now is spent, and the result is more suffering. The path of the master, the conscious creator, is to take this fresh sheet of paper with reverence. The master looks at the blank page and sees it for what it is, pure potential. They refuse to stain it with the muddy colors of yesterday's regrets or the gray shades of tomorrow's fears. The master makes a conscious choice. On this page, they declare, I will draw a new picture. With the full, undivided attention of this present moment, I will draw the image of peace. I will sketch the feeling of gratitude. I will paint the vibrant colors of my wish fulfilled. Only the drawing made on the page of the now is real. Only this drawing has the power to command the creative forces of the universe. Your past reality was created by your past presence. Your future reality is being created by your present presence. So how do you access this elusive now? How do you escape the powerful gravity of the past and future? You do not do it by thinking. You do it by feeling. You do it by dropping out of the abstract world of thought and into the direct, tangible reality of your body and your senses. It is exquisitely simple. Bring your attention to your breath. Your breath is never in the past or the future. It is always, unfailingly, now. Feel the air as it enters your nostrils. Feel your chest expand. This is the anchor that pulls you back from the stormy seas of thought. Now, feel the life in your hands. Can you feel a subtle tingling, a vibration, a warmth? That is your inner body, your connection to the life force. It is always present. Shift your attention from the noise in your head to the aliveness in your hands. Finally, listen. Not to your thoughts, but to the actual sounds around you without labeling them. The hum of a machine, a distant bird, the sound of silence itself. By grounding yourself in these physical, present moment anchors, you pull your consciousness out of the illusion of time and into the power of reality. When you inhabit the now, your entire experience of life transforms. You discover that in the present moment, there is rarely a problem. The problem is almost always a projection, a memory of a past problem, or a fear of a future one. In the now, you find you have all the resources you need to handle what is actually in front of you. Furthermore, all the creative tools we have discussed become available to you in their full potency. Your ability to feel the wish fulfilled is a present moment activity. Your power to broadcast a new frequency is a present moment activity. All of your power is concentrated into this single luminous point of existence. This realization brings an end to the great human malady of waiting. We live our lives in a state of perpetually waiting for the next moment. I will be happy when I get the promotion. I will feel at peace when I go on vacation. I will feel loved when I find a partner. We treat the present moment as a mere stepping stone to a future salvation. But salvation never comes because it can only ever be found in the now. Peace, joy, love, and abundance are not future destinations. They are states of being that you can choose to inhabit right here, right now, by accessing the power of your own presence. This understanding dissolves the energy of wanting and striving, which is always focused on a future lack. It replaces it with something far more powerful, a creative stance that is only possible in the now. It allows you to move from the state of desiring something in the future to the state of assuming it as your reality in the present. We stand now in the only place where power exists, the eternal, infinite now. We have pulled our attention back from the ghostly realms of past and future and concentrated it into this single, luminous point of reality. From this vantage point, we are granted the clarity to see one of the most fundamental errors in our approach to life and creation. We see the subtle but profound trap of desire. Now, with our power gathered, we are ready to make the single most important shift in our creative process. We are ready to learn how to move from the state of wanting to the state of having, from the energy of seeking to the energy of being. We are here to make the quantum leap from desire to assumption. Let us first perform an autopsy on the state of desire. To desire something, to want it, is to be in a state of profound and painful awareness of its absence. The very energy of wanting is a confession of lack. When you say, "I want more money," you are, in that same breath, affirming, "I do not have enough money." When you plead, "I want to be loved," you are simultaneously energizing the painful reality of, "I am not loved." Desire, by its very nature, creates a duality. It establishes a subject, you, and an object, the thing you want, and it places a vast chasm of separation between the two. Your mind then becomes fixated on this chasm. You focus on the distance, on the obstacles, on the journey you must undertake to get from here, the state of lack, to there, the state of fulfillment. As long as you remain in the energy of desire, you are perpetually broadcasting the frequency of separation, and the universe, in its perfect loyalty to your signal, will diligently provide you with more experiences of separation. Desire is the necessary spark that shows you what is possible, what you would like to experience. But it is a terrible place to live. It is the starting pistol for a race that never ends. You must honor the desire for the clarity it brings, and then you must be willing to let it go, to transcend it for something infinitely more powerful. This something more is the state of assumption. To assume is to make a radical shift in consciousness. It is to cease thinking of the goal and to begin thinking from the goal. It is the art and the discipline of mentally and emotionally clothing yourself in the reality of your wish fulfilled. It is to walk through your inner world not as the one who is seeking, but as the one who has already found. You stop standing on one side of the canyon, looking over at what you want. Instead, you perform an audacious act of consciousness. You simply assume you are already on the other side. You are no longer the person who wants to be wealthy. In your own mind, in the sacred space of the now, you are the person who is wealthy. You are no longer the person who wants to be healthy. You are the person who is healthy. This is not about lying to yourself or engaging in hopeful pretense. Pretending carries the subtle undertone of, "I know this isn't real." Assumption is a sovereign, creative act. It is a calm, quiet, and firm inner declaration of, "I am this, now." You are choosing a new reality for yourself and inhabiting it from the inside out. Let us explore this through a series of metaphors to grasp its depth. First, consider the master actor. A truly great actor preparing for a role does not simply memorize lines and pretend to be the character. They embark on a deep inner journey to become the character. If they are to play a king, they do not just put on a crown. They cultivate the inner state of royalty. How would a king think? What would be his dominant assumptions about the world? He would not be hoping for respect. He would assume it. He would not be seeking power. He would embody it. The actor lives, breathes, and thinks from the state of the king long before the cameras start rolling. This is your work. You must become a method actor of the soul. Your desired state of health, abundance, or love eyes, the role you are to play. Do not just think about the character. You must get inside their skin. What is the inner conversation of the person who is financially secure? It is not one of worry. What is the dominant feeling state of the person who is deeply loved? It is not one of neediness. You must do the inner work of getting into character, of assuming the thoughts and, most importantly, the feelings of that role. And you must live there, internally, regardless of the outer world's script. Or consider another image. You are living a simple life, and one day a royal decree arrives. You have been identified as the long-lost heir to a magnificent kingdom. In that single moment of realization, you have not yet seen the castle. You have not sat on the throne. You have not spent a single piece of gold. And yet, has everything not already changed? You have assumed your new identity. You stop thinking like a commoner, worrying about your daily bread. You begin to think like a monarch, with a sense of responsibility, of ownership, of a vast new potential. Your posture changes. Your inner dialogue changes. Your entire sense of self shifts, all based on an assumption of a truth you have not yet physically experienced. Then, as you live from this new assumption, the outer world begins to conform. The royal guards arrive to escort you. The gates of the palace are opened. The treasury is made available to you. The outer world is the confirmation of the inner shift you have already made. To assume your wish fulfilled is to accept the inner decree that you are already the heir to the reality you desire. This practice requires a new kind of inner discipline. One of the most powerful ways to cultivate this is to put your mind on a mental diet. A diet, in this sense, is not about restriction, but about conscious selection. You are now the guardian of your own mind, and you consciously choose what thoughts and feelings you will entertain. Any thought that contradicts your assumption, a thought of doubt, fear, worry, or lack, is considered mental junk food. When it presents itself, you do not fight it. You do not feel guilty for it. You simply, calmly, refuse to consume it. You see the thought of "what if this doesn't work?" and you say, "Thank you, but I am not feeding on that today." And you turn your attention back to a thought that aligns with your assumption. You feed your consciousness only with the thoughts, feelings, and imaginary conversations that the person living in your desired reality would be having. This is a moment-to-moment practice. It is the steady, patient work of the master sculptor, refusing to let the clumsy apprentice make a single mark on the stone. How does this work? What is the mechanism? It is beautifully simple and builds on everything we have learned. Your sustained assumption, your consistent mental diet, your act of living in the feeling of the wish fulfilled, impresses this new reality upon your subconscious mind. It is the act of handing the crew in the engine room a new, definitive blueprint. The subconscious, being the utterly faithful and non-judgmental servant, accepts this new blueprint as the commanding reality. It does not care that your five senses disagree. Its loyalty is to the sustained, feeling-toned impression you give it. Once it accepts this new blueprint of, for example, I am abundant, it begins its masterful, silent work. It starts to filter your perception, so you notice opportunities you were blind to before. It adjusts your intuition, giving you nudges and hunches that lead you toward your goal. It changes your body language and your energetic presence, which causes others to respond to you differently. It orchestrates a symphony of coincidences, lucky breaks, and synchronous events that are, in truth, the perfectly logical and orderly unfolding of your assumed state. The outer world is simply rearranging itself to match your new inner configuration. Herein lies the great test, the final gatekeeper. You have assumed your new reality. You are living in the feeling of your wish fulfilled, and yet you look at the world of your senses, and it appears unchanged. The bank statement reads the same. The doctor's report is the same. The empty chair is still empty. The 3D world, the world of so-called brute facts, will scream at you that your assumption is a lie. It will present you with constant, overwhelming evidence to the contrary. To remain loyal to your unseen inner reality in the face of this loud, contradictory outer world requires a special kind of strength. It is a strength that goes beyond mere wishing or positive thinking. It is an unwavering, quiet conviction in the supremacy of the unseen over the seen. It is a calm refusal to accept the evidence of the senses as the final word. This power, this inner knowing, this steadfast loyalty to your assumption has a name. It is faith. And this faith is not a vague religious hope. It is a profound creative power with its own internal logic, with its own undeniable physics. To hold your assumption steady, you must now understand the physics of faith. You have taken the audacious leap, standing in the eternal now. You have turned from the state of wanting and have clothed yourself in the feeling of your wish fulfilled. You have made your assumption. You are living, in your imagination, from the end, as the person you desire to be. For a moment, in the sanctuary of your mind, it feels real, it feels true. But then, you open your eyes. The world of your senses rushes in, a relentless tide of contrary evidence. The reflection in the mirror, the number in your bank account, the silence of the phone, they all present a powerful, convincing argument against your new reality. They scream that your assumption is a lie. This is the moment of trial. This is where the dreamer parts ways with the creator. To hold steady in your assumption against the storm of sensory doubt requires the activation of a profound inner faculty. It requires what we call faith. Let us begin by cleansing this word of its weak and watery connotations. For many, faith is a synonym for blind hope, a desperate wishing that something might be true. It is a plea sent out into the darkness, a last resort when all logic has failed. This is not the faith we speak of. The faith required for creation is not a desperate hope. It is a serene knowing. It is not a blind leap. It is a clear-eyed, unwavering loyalty to an unseen reality. It is the calm, steady, and persistent feeling that your assumption is a fact, even when the world of shadow and illusion screams otherwise. This faith is not an emotional, volatile thing. It is a quiet, stable, and powerful state of being. It is the inner anchor that holds your new reality in place, while the old reality thrashes and dies around it. The primary enemy of this creative faith is doubt, and doubt is fed by the five senses. Your senses are reporters, but they are reporters with a time delay. They can only ever report on what has already been created, on a reality that was impressed upon the world by your past state of being. They are telling you old news. To look at your current circumstances and use them as evidence that your new assumption isn't working is the greatest folly. It is like looking at the wake behind a boat to determine its future direction. The direction is determined by the captain at the helm, in the present moment, not by the churning water of the past. Doubt is the emotional response of believing the old news story reported by your senses, instead of believing the new truth you have declared in consciousness. Imagine again that you are the conscious gardener of your reality. You have prepared the fertile soil of your subconscious. You have planted a new, precious seed, your assumption. Now, the work of the faithful gardener begins. The faithful gardener plants the seed and then trusts the process. He knows that the seed contains the entire blueprint and potential of the magnificent plant. He cannot see any activity on the surface for days, perhaps weeks. The ground looks exactly as it did before. But he does not panic. He does not conclude that the process has failed. He has faith in the unseen miracle happening in the darkness of the soil. He knows the seed is germinating, that roots are forming, that life is gathering itself for its emergence into the light. And so, he simply and calmly continues to water the ground, to provide the sunlight of his loving attention, and he lets the natural, unhurried intelligence of life do its work. Now consider the faithless gardener. He plants the very same seed, but his mind is riddled with doubt. The next morning, he rushes out and sees the unchanged soil. "It's not working," he whispers. Consumed by anxiety, he gets a small shovel and carefully digs up the seed to check on it. "Ah," he says with momentary relief, "I see a tiny root forming." He then carefully reburies the seed, feeling he has reassured himself. But what has he actually done? He has violently disturbed the delicate, unseen process. He has exposed the fragile new growth to harsh conditions. The next day, still seeing no progress on the surface, he digs it up again. This act of digging up the seed to look for sensory proof is the perfect metaphor for doubt. Every time you have a moment of doubt, every time you look to your outer world for validation of your inner work, you are digging up your seed. You are destroying the invisible root system of your new creation before it has time to anchor itself. Faith is the courage to let the seed do its work in the darkness, to trust the unseen process, and to water the ground with joyful expectation, rather than digging it up with fearful anxiety. Let us look at this through the lens of physics. The unmanifested quantum field is a field of pure, fluid potential. It contains every possible reality. When you make your assumption, you are acting as a conscious force, causing a specific pattern to emerge within this fluid field. You have selected a possibility, but it is still just a fluid, energetic potential. The role of faith is to act as a steady, stabilizing force. It is the conscious act of holding that energetic pattern still, with unwavering focus, long enough for it to crystallize into a fact. It is like holding a tray of water perfectly still in a freezer. If you hold it steady, the fluid water will become solid ice. But if you are full of doubt, you keep shaking the tray. You keep agitating the potential, and it can never solidify. Faith is the stillness. It is the calm, confident, and continuous pressure you apply to a single point in the quantum field, commanding it to harden from a possibility into an experience. Living by this faith means you have made a profound decision. You have decided to give more reality to the world within you than to the world without. You have chosen to be loyal to the vision in your mind over the circumstances reported by your senses. When the bank statement shows lack, you close your eyes and remain faithful to the inner feeling of abundance. When your body presents a symptom of illness, you respectfully acknowledge it, and then you return your loyalty to the inner assumption of perfect health. You are As the great mystic Neville Goddard taught, calling those things which are not seen as though they were, you are walking by faith, not by sight. You are living from the inside out. This does not mean you deny the facts of the 3D world. It means you deny their supremacy. You see them, you acknowledge them, and you declare that they are a temporary shadow reality that is already fading away, subject to the new, superior reality you are creating within. When you can maintain this state of unwavering faith, a final, beautiful transformation occurs. The frantic need to control, to manage, to figure things out, simply falls away. The faithful gardener does not worry about the how of the seed's growth. He does not try to engineer the precise chemical reactions within the soil. He does not try to micromanage the journey of the root system. He trusts the inherent, supreme intelligence within the seed and the soil to handle the complex logistics of growth. He has done his part, has planted the seed, and he is watering the ground. Now, he can release the outcome to a power greater than himself. This state of trustful release, born from unshakable faith, is the gateway to the most peaceful and powerful state of being of all. It is the state of surrender. Having done your part, you can now let go and let God, or the universe, or the law, handle the details. You are ready to understand the immense power of surrender. You have planted the seed of your assumption in the fertile soil of the subconscious. You have held to the reality of your unseen creation with the unwavering conviction of faith, refusing to dig up the seed to check for growth. You have protected the flame of your inner vision from the stormy winds of sensory evidence. You have done the work. You have done your part. And now you come to the final, and perhaps most graceful, act of the conscious creator. It is an act that the ego, with its addiction to control and effort, will resist with all its might. It is the sacred act of release. It is the discovery of the profound, creative potency that lies in the power of surrender. To the conditioned mind, the word surrender is anathema. It is a synonym for defeat, for failure, for giving up and giving in. It conjures images of a white flag raised on a battlefield, of a lost argument, of a broken will. The ego believes that to surrender is to become passive, to lose control, to admit that you are powerless. But this is a gross misunderstanding. Spiritual surrender is not, and has never been, an act of weakness. It is an act of supreme wisdom and ultimate strength. It is not about giving up on your destination. It is about giving up the futile struggle of trying to control the path. It is the conscious and deliberate release of the need to manage the how, the when, and the who, so that a power infinitely more intelligent than your conscious mind can orchestrate the details. Surrender is not the cessation of action, it is the cessation of resistance. It is the final, powerful move you make after you have done your inner work impeccably. Let us return to our boat on the great river of life. The river represents the flow of universal intelligence, the Tao, which always knows the most efficient, harmonious, and beautiful path to the ocean, the fulfillment of your desire. For most of your life, you have been an unconscious rower. You have had a small, hand-drawn map in your mind of how you think you should get to the ocean. This map is based on your limited logic, your past experiences, and the opinions of others. And you have been desperately trying to force the river to conform to your tiny map. When the river naturally wants to flow east, but your map says you must go north, you put your oars in the water and you row against the current with all your might. Life feels like an exhausting uphill battle. Every inch of progress requires immense effort. This is the state of resistance. Or perhaps the river is already flowing peacefully towards your destination, but you, in your impatience, believe you can get there faster. So you row frantically with the current, exhausting your strength, creating turbulence, and missing the beautiful scenery along the banks. In both cases, you are operating from the ego's arrogant assumption that you know better than the river. The act of surrender is the moment of profound wisdom when you finally pull your oars out of the water. You stop fighting, you stop struggling, you stop trying to force your will upon the flow of life. You lean back in your boat, and for the first time, you trust the current. You trust that the infinite intelligence of the river knows the way. This is not helpless, passive drifting. You are not asleep. You still have your hand on the rudder. The rudder is your state of being, your assumption, your faith. You use it to make small, subtle adjustments. If the river presents a clear choice between two channels, you use your intuition, guided by the feeling of your wish fulfilled, to choose the path that feels most like relief, most like home. If you see a large rock ahead, you gently steer around it. You are no longer trying to provide the engine power for your journey. You are cooperating with the immense, effortless power of the river itself. You have moved from a state of brute force to a state of intelligent cooperation, from effort to grace. This is the essence of effortless action, of Wu Wei. Let us be specific about what exactly we are surrendering. First and foremost, you surrender the how. Your conscious mind, with its limited perspective, can only conceive of a few possible ways for your desire to manifest. You think your abundance must come through this specific job. You believe your happiness must come from this specific person. You are presenting the universe with a destination, but you are also handing it a ridiculously restrictive set of driving directions. The universe, in its infinite wisdom, sees a million other pathways, shortcuts, scenic routes, and grand avenues you cannot even imagine. To surrender the how is to tear up your tiny, hand-drawn map and to trust that the universal GPS knows the best route. It may be a route that looks completely illogical to you at first. You might get fired from the very job you thought was your only source of security. This feels like disaster to the ego, but it is often the universe's way of freeing you up for a far greater opportunity that is waiting just around the corner. Surrendering the how is having the faith to know that even a seeming detour is a divinely orchestrated part of the most direct path. Next, you surrender the when. The ego lives by the clock and the calendar. It is consumed with impatience. It planted the seed yesterday, so it demands the harvest tomorrow. This impatience is a form of doubt. It is a lack of trust in the natural timing of life. It creates an energy of anxiety which pollutes your frequency and disrupts the entire creative process. A master gardener never tries to force a rose to bloom in the dead of winter. They trust the seasons. Divine timing is always perfect. Your desire will manifest at the exact moment when you are truly ready to receive it, and when all the necessary components for its sustainable existence are in place. To demand it sooner is to ask for a half-baked creation that cannot last. Surrender the when. Release your desperate grip on the timeline. Find your peace in the knowing that what is yours is already on its way, and it will arrive at the perfect moment. Finally, you surrender the who. So often, we attach our desired feelings to a specific person. We decide that our feeling of love must come from this one individual, or our sense of validation must come from that particular boss. This not only limits the universe, but it also disrespects the free will of others. The true alchemist is in love with the state, not the person. You are in love with the feeling of being cherished, respected, and adored. You are in love with the feeling of being a valued, creative contributor. You surrender the specific who that must deliver this feeling to you. This frees the universe to bring you the perfect embodiment of that state, whether it is the person you were thinking of or someone far better suited to you whom you have not yet even met. Focus on the feeling, the state of being, and let the universe cast the perfect actor for the role. When you truly practice this threefold surrender, an incredible shift occurs in your entire being. The feeling is one of profound peace. It is the feeling of coming home. It is the sigh of relief you feel when you finally put down a tremendously heavy burden that you have been carrying for years, the burden of having to figure everything out, of having to control everyone and everything, of being solely responsible for the outcome. All that wasted energy, all that friction and resistance is now gone. Your mind becomes quiet, your heart becomes calm, and in this state of peace you find a new kind of power. It is a quiet, confident power that comes from knowing you are aligned and cooperating with a force that is infinitely intelligent and unconditionally supportive. This leads us to the final beautiful paradox of creation. The very act of surrendering your desperate need for an outcome is often the final key that unlocks the door for its arrival. As long as you are needy, anxious, and trying to control the manifestation, you are broadcasting a frequency of resistance and lack. You are holding it at arm's length with your own attachment. But the moment you truly let go, the moment you can honestly say, "I have assumed my desire as fact. I am faithful to my unseen reality, and I surrender the details to divine intelligence. I am at peace whether it shows up today, tomorrow, or next year, because I know it is done." You have achieved a state of profound emotional neutrality. You have released the charge. You have collapsed the resistance. You have become an open, allowing channel. This state of non-needy, peaceful detachment is not a state of apathy. It is, paradoxically, the most powerfully attractive and magnetic state you can possibly embody. It is the frequency of the master. Let us now explore the immense creative power found in this magnetism of neutrality. We have walked the path of the Creator. We have planted our seed of assumption, held it steady with the quiet conviction of faith, and have finally, gracefully, pulled our oars from the river, surrendering the journey to the infinite wisdom of the current. In this state of surrender, a profound peace begins to settle. The frantic need to control, to manage, and to know has been released. But this peace is not the final destination. It is the fertile ground for the emergence of the most subtle and yet most powerfully creative state of being you can embody. It is the state that arises from the paradox that to truly receive, you must first truly let go. We are here to understand the silent, irresistible power that is the magnetism of neutrality. There is a fundamental law of energy that we often witness in our daily lives, yet fail to apply to our inner work. The harder you try to grasp something, the more it eludes you. Try desperately to force yourself to fall asleep, and you will lie awake for hours, your effort becoming the very source of your wakefulness. Try too hard to be witty and charming at a social gathering, and your words will come out stilted and awkward, your neediness repelling the very connection you seek. Try to clutch a handful of water, and it will slip through your fingers. Hold your hand open and still, and you can hold it. In the world of consciousness, this law is magnified 1,000-fold. The energy of desperate need, of forceful attachment to an outcome, creates a chaotic, repellent field around you. It is a vibrational scream of, "I don't have this," which, as we know, can only attract more experiences of not having. True attraction does not work through force, it works through magnetism. And the most magnetic state you can possibly embody is one of peaceful, trusting neutrality. Let us be very clear about what this neutrality is and what it is not. Neutrality is not apathy. Apathy is a low-energy state of resignation. It is the feeling of, "I don't care anymore," because it's hopeless. It is a state of powerlessness. Neutrality, on the other hand, is a state of immense and tranquil power. It is the state of being so deeply anchored in your faith, so fully inhabiting your assumption, that you are no longer anxiously looking to the outer world for confirmation. It is the calm, centered, knowing that your desire is already a fact in the unseen realm, and therefore you are at peace with the divine timing of its appearance in the seen realm. It is a profound sense of inner wholeness. It is the feeling, I am so complete and at peace within myself now that while I know my desire is on its way, my happiness is not contingent upon its arrival. This lack of neediness is the signature frequency of the Master. Imagine you are in a beautiful garden and your desire is a magnificent, elusive butterfly. The novice creator, operating from a place of desire and attachment, sees the butterfly and immediately begins to chase it. He runs frantically, lunging with his net, crashing through the flower beds. His energy is chaotic, needy, and predatory. The butterfly, a creature of immense sensitivity, feels this desperate energy and is repelled by it. The more the novice chases, the more erratically the butterfly flits and flies away, always just out of reach. The chase itself guarantees the failure of the capture. Now, imagine the Master enters the same garden. The Master also sees the butterfly, acknowledging its beauty, but they do not chase. Instead, they find a quiet bench, sit down, and become one with the peace of the garden. They feel the warmth of the sun on their skin. They admire the fragrance of the roses. They listen to the gentle hum of the bees. Their presence is utterly peaceful, self-contained, and non-demanding. They are not concerned with possessing the butterfly. Their joy comes from simply being present in the beautiful garden. The butterfly, sensing no threat, no chaotic energy, no neediness, feels only the calm, stable, and inviting presence of the Master. And then, the magic happens. The butterfly, of its own accord, flutters over and gently, softly, lands on the Master's shoulder. The Master did not capture the butterfly. The Master became the stillness that invited the butterfly to land. Your neutrality, your non-needy state of being, is the stillness that allows your desire to come to you, effortlessly and by grace. Let's look at the physics of this. The energy of desperate wanting creates a turbulent, high-resistance field around your frequency. It's like a form of energetic static. The signal of your desire is being broadcast, but it is surrounded by so much noise, the noise of doubt, fear, impatience, and need, that it is distorted and repelled by the very universal field you are trying to communicate with. When you achieve neutrality through surrender and faith, this static field dissolves, the resistance ceases. You become energetically smooth, open, and receptive. You have stopped pushing your good away from you with your desperate need for it. You have transformed from a grasping, clenched fist into a soft, open hand. And an open hand is the only thing that can truly receive. At its core, this state of neutrality is born from the genuine embodiment of the truth that you are whole and complete, right now, before your desire has physically manifested. It is the result of so successfully assuming the feeling of the wish fulfilled that you are no longer looking outside of yourself for it. You have become the very feeling you were once seeking, and the universe operates on the immutable law of, to the one who has, more will be given. When you have the feeling of wholeness, when you have the feeling of abundance, when you have the feeling of love as your dominant inner state, the universe must, by law, bring you the outer circumstances and experiences that are a harmonic match to that which you already have within. It is bringing you more of what you already are. This is why the rich often get richer and the happy often get happier. They are broadcasting from a state of having, not a state of wanting. Neutrality is the quiet, confident state of having on an inner plane. Now, we come to a crucial test of this newfound state. What happens when you are abiding in this beautiful, peaceful neutrality, and an event occurs in your world that the old you would have labeled an obstacle? An unexpected bill arrives. A negative comment is made. A plan falls through. The untrained mind would be instantly jolted out of its peace, back into the chaos of fear and doubt. The neutrality would shatter. But the creator, who is anchored in this state, responds differently. Because you are no longer attached to a specific outcome happening in a specific way, You are able to view this event not as a catastrophe, but with calm curiosity. You see it not as a sign of failure or a punishment from the universe, but simply as a piece of neutral information, a move on the great chessboard of life. From this calm, detached vantage point, you are free to interpret this event in a new and empowering way. You are able to see that perhaps this apparent roadblock is not a roadblock at all. Perhaps every obstacle is, in fact, a divinely orchestrated detour to an even better path. You are abiding in the calm, powerful state of neutrality. You have surrendered your timeline and your rigid plans to the wisdom of the universe. You are at peace, anchored in the faith that your desire is a finished fact in the unseen. And then, it happens. A door you thought was open slams shut. A person you were counting on says no. An unexpected expense drains the account you were trying to grow. An obstacle appears, stark and undeniable, standing directly in the path you were peacefully following. In this moment, the ego, the old self, will rise up and scream. It will shout, "You see, it doesn't work. This was all a fantasy. Life is a struggle after all." This is the crisis point, the great test of your newfound consciousness, and your response to it will reveal whether you are still a victim of circumstances or have truly become a master of reality. The foundational principle you must now integrate deep into the fiber of your being is this: the universe is never working against you. It is always, without exception, working for you. It is a loving, intelligent, and responsive system that is constantly organizing itself around the frequency of your being for your highest good. Therefore, the universe never truly says no to the core essence of your desire. It may, however, say no to your limited, flawed, and often inferior plan for how that desire should manifest. An obstacle is not a rejection from the universe. It is a redirection. It is a cosmic course correction, a loving intervention designed to guide you away from a lesser path and toward a greater one. An obstacle is not a wall. It is a signpost. Let us return to the journey in your car. You are driving toward a beautiful, sunlit destination, your fulfilled desire. You are following a map that you have drawn yourself, based on your current knowledge. This map represents your conscious, logical plan. You are cruising along, feeling peaceful, when you come around a bend and find the road ahead is closed. A large barrier stands in your way, with a sign that reads, "Bridge out." Now, the unconscious traveler, the one who is identified with their ego and their limited plan, flies into a rage. They get out of the car and yell at the barrier. They feel victimized, cursed, and defeated. Why me? My journey is ruined. I knew it was too good to be true. They see the barrier as a malicious, personal affront, a cruel act of fate designed specifically to stop them. Their journey ends there, in a state of bitterness and resignation, at the foot of a barrier they have misinterpreted. The conscious creator, however, responds differently. Arriving at the same barrier, they do not feel anger. They feel a calm curiosity. Anchored in the trust that the journey is guaranteed, they see the barrier not as an end, but as information. Interesting, they think. The bridge I planned to take is out. The path I thought was the one is not available. This must mean there is a better way. Instead of fighting the barrier, they look for the detour sign. They trust the redirection. They turn the car and follow a new, unfamiliar road. At first, this road may seem to wind through unknown territory, but soon it merges onto a magnificent, newly constructed superhighway that was not on their old, outdated map. This highway is wider, smoother, and safer. It takes them through breathtaking landscapes they never would have seen on their old route. They arrive at their sunlit destination, feeling more refreshed, energized, and grateful than they ever could have on the old road. And they look back with gratitude at the road closed sign, realizing it was not an obstacle at all. It was a blessing. It was a divine intervention that saved them from a dangerous, collapsed bridge and guided them to a far superior path. Every obstacle in your life is this bridge out sign. It is the universe lovingly telling you, not that way. I have something better for you. We must learn to decode these messages. Sometimes, an obstacle is a message of timing. It is the universe saying, not yet. The soil is not yet ready for the full manifestation. You are not yet vibrationally prepared to sustain this new reality. The obstacle is a gift of time, allowing you to strengthen your faith and your assumption so that when your desire arrives, you are a true and stable match for it. It is a yellow light, asking you to pause, not a red light, stopping you forever. More often, an obstacle is the universe protecting you from a lesser good to make way for a greater one. You have assumed the feeling of being in a loving, fulfilling partnership, but you have attached that feeling to a specific person who is not a true match for you. When that person rejects you, it feels like a devastating failure. But it is the universe acting as your most loyal friend, closing a door that would have led to heartache in order to keep you free for the person who is a perfect reflection of your desire. You want a specific job, and you don't get it. The obstacle feels like a rejection of your worth. But it is the universe which sees the whole chessboard, knowing that another company is about to post your dream job, a position with more freedom, more creativity, and more abundance than the one you thought you wanted. The obstacle is divine protection. The practice, then, when confronted with a seeming roadblock, is to consciously reframe it. You must refuse to fall into the victim narrative of "this is bad" or "I have failed." You must anchor yourself in your neutrality and ask a new set of questions. How is this serving me? What am I being protected from? What better opportunity is this making space for? What is the universe trying to show me? By asking these questions, you shift from a state of powerless reaction to a state of empowered co-creation. You begin to look for the gift in the problem. You search for the blessing in the barrier. You treat every event not as a verdict on your progress, but as a communication from your creative partner, the universe. When you begin to live this way, a truly miraculous transformation takes place in your consciousness. You are no longer tossed about by the changing winds of fortune. You develop an unshakable inner peace, a deep trust in the benevolent flow of your life. And something else emerges, something profoundly creative. You stop categorizing your experiences as good or bad. You begin to see that everything, the smooth, open highways, and the bridge-out signs are all part of the same loving, intelligent process designed to bring you home to your highest good. The natural emotional response to this deep realization is one of profound and all-encompassing gratitude. You find yourself feeling grateful not just for your successes, but for your seeming failures. You are thankful not just for the open doors, but for the closed ones as well, because you now understand that they were also acts of grace. This ability to feel genuine gratitude for every aspect of your journey is perhaps the most powerful creative catalyst you can ever possess. It is the key that unlocks the final gates of manifestation. You are now ready to learn how to use gratitude, not as a polite reaction, but as a dynamic, creative force. We have journeyed to a place of profound trust. We have learned to see the guiding hand of the universe, even in our obstacles, to recognize the blessing in the barrier and the divine redirection in the closed door. Standing in this new, elevated perspective, where everything is seen as a benevolent part of our unfolding, a single, powerful emotion begins to bloom naturally in the quiet garden of our heart. It is the emotion of gratitude. But just as we have had to redefine faith and surrender, we must now elevate our understanding of gratitude. We must learn to wield it not as a polite afterthought, but as one of the most dynamic and formidable creative forces in the universe. For most of our lives, we have been taught that gratitude is a reaction. It is the "thank you" you say after you have received a gift. It is the feeling of appreciation that comes after a prayer has been answered. In this conventional view, Gratitude is an effect, the happy endpoint of a transaction. It is a lovely social grace, but in this form, it is creatively impotent. It is the caboose at the end of the train. The alchemist, the conscious creator, understands a deeper truth. Creative gratitude is not an effect. It is a cause. It is not the celebration after the victory. It is the very energy that wins the war. It is the frequency you intentionally generate before the evidence has appeared, the resonant key that unlocks the treasury of the cosmos. It is the train's engine, not its caboose. To understand its power, we must first see gratitude as the ultimate and most immediate antidote to the poisonous frequency of lack. It is impossible, on a vibrational level, to feel genuine gratitude and to feel a sense of lack at the very same time. The two states are mutually exclusive. They are opposing frequencies. The mind that is focused on what it does not have is a mind in a state of contraction. Its energy is anxious, tight, needy, and resistant. It is the clenched fist that cannot receive. The mind that is focused on gratitude is, by definition, a mind in a state of expansion. Its energy is peaceful, open, appreciative, and allowing. It is the open hand. The shift from one to the other can be instantaneous. The practice of gratitude is the most powerful pattern interrupt you can deploy against the deeply ingrained habit of negative thinking and complaining. The moment you feel the old familiar anxiety of not enough begin to rise, you can consciously choose to change the frequency. You can deliberately withdraw your attention from what is missing and place it, with intention, on something for which you can feel genuine appreciation, no matter how small. The air filling your lungs, the warmth of the sun, the miracle of your own beating heart, the memory of a kind word. In that instant of genuine appreciation, the frequency of lack dissolves. You have single-handedly changed your own vibrational output. Let us explore this through a series of metaphors to illuminate its mechanics. Imagine the universe is a conscious, benevolent, and infinitely abundant field that delights in giving. It is constantly sending gifts, blessings, and opportunities your way. Gratitude is the energetic signal you send back that says, "Message received, gift acknowledged. I am paying attention, and I am deeply appreciative." When the universe receives this signal of gratitude, it understands that the channel between you is open and clear, and it joyfully sends more. Now, imagine a person who never expresses gratitude. They receive a small blessing, but because they are so focused on what they don't have, they don't even notice it. They leave the universe on read. To this lack of response, the universe does not react with anger, but it concludes that the person is not receptive, that the channel is blocked with the static of complaint and unawareness. And so, the flow slows to a trickle. Gratitude is the cosmic courtesy, the sacred acknowledgement that keeps the divine flow of abundance moving in your direction. Think also of your own being as a magnificent musical instrument, like a grand cello. A life lived from a place of complaint, resentment, and lack is like a cello that is hopelessly out of tune. Every attempt to play it produces a jarring, dissonant, and painful sound. Nothing is in harmony. Life feels difficult and abrasive. The practice of gratitude is the sacred act of tuning your instrument. Each thought of genuine appreciation is like the slow, careful turning of a tuning peg. You appreciate the taste of your morning coffee. One string comes into tune. You appreciate the beauty of a sunset. Another string finds its perfect pitch. You appreciate a moment of connection with a loved one. A third string begins to resonate beautifully. You practice this day after day, moment by moment. Soon, your entire being, your entire instrument, is perfectly tuned to the harmonious frequency of appreciation. Now, when you play your music, when you live your life, you are no longer creating dissonance. You are playing in perfect harmony with the grand symphony of the universe. And the universe, recognizing a perfectly tuned instrument, sends you the most beautiful music to play. We can also see gratitude as the secret password to the walled garden of abundance. The garden is lush, beautiful, and contains everything you could ever desire. The gate is closed. Most people stand at the gate, rattling it, shouting their demands. They list all their qualifications. They explain why they deserve to be let in. They complain about how unfair it is that the gate is closed. This is the energy of the ego, the energy of wanting and striving. But the gate does not respond to force or logic. It responds only to a specific vibrational key. The master, knowing the secret, approaches the gate. They do not rattle it. They do not demand. They simply stand before it, and from the depths of their heart, they whisper a genuine feeling of thankfulness for the life they already have, for the ground beneath their feet, for the air they breathe. And in the face of this pure, non-demanding frequency of gratitude, the great gate swings open effortlessly. It was never locked to keep you out. It was only ever waiting for you to speak the password. Now we arrive at the ultimate expression of this creative force. It is the final graduation for the student of reality creation. It is the practice of moving beyond gratitude for what is, into the realm of gratitude for what is not yet seen. This is the act of giving thanks for your wish fulfilled before there is any sensory evidence of its existence. This practice is the fusion of our previous lessons. It takes the unwavering conviction of faith, it takes the embodied feeling of your assumption, and it marries them to the expansive, magnetic energy of gratitude. It is the declaration that your trust in the unseen creative process is so absolute, so complete, that you are already thankful for the result. Can you feel the immense power in this? To say thank you for the abundance that is on its way, for the healing that is taking place, for the love that is finding you, as if you have already received the delivery confirmation, is the most powerful signal you can send to the universe. It is a statement of ultimate faith. It collapses time. It dissolves all remaining resistance and doubt. It is the alchemical act that says, "It is done," with a heart full of joy. When you begin to live in this state of all-encompassing, proactive gratitude, something begins to change, not just in the circumstances of your life, but in the very quality of your personal presence. A person whose heart is truly filled with gratitude radiates a unique and beautiful energy. They have a certain light in their eyes. There is a warmth, a peacefulness, a grace that surrounds them. They walk through the world not with a sense of entitlement or grievance, but with a sense of quiet wonder. This is not something that can be faked. It is the natural byproduct of a consciousness that is consistently tuned to the frequency of appreciation. This inner state does not remain locked inside you. It emanates from you as a silent, powerful broadcast. And people are exquisitely sensitive to this frequency. They may not know what it is, but they feel it. They are drawn to your calm. They are soothed by your peace. They trust you more easily. They want to help you, to cooperate with you, to be in your presence, because your energy makes them feel good. The constant silent argument you have been having with the world, the need to prove your worth, to justify your desires, to convince others to see things your way simply falls away. It is no longer necessary. Your own state of being, cultivated through the sacred practice of gratitude, becomes its own gentle, silent, and irresistible form of persuasion. You have become the living embodiment of your own answered prayer. And now, you are ready to let your presence be your argument. We have journeyed deep within. We have quieted the mind, assumed our desired reality, stood firm in faith, surrendered the outcome, and discovered the profound creative power of gratitude. Through this alchemy, your inner world has been transformed. You have cultivated a state of being that is peaceful, whole, and rooted in an unshakable sense of your own worth. And now, we turn our attention outward. For a lifetime, you have believed that to have an effect on the world, to convince others, To win your case, you must use the force of your words, the brilliance of your logic, and the strength of your will. You have engaged in countless arguments, debates, and explanations, often leaving you feeling drained, frustrated, and unheard. Today, you will learn to lay down these clumsy tools. You are about to discover that the most powerful, persuasive, and influential force you will ever wield is not in what you say or do, but in the silent, radiant energy of who you have become. You will learn to let your presence be your argument. Think of how much energy has been spent in the futile attempt to change other people's minds. You try to convince a loved one to see your point of view. You argue with a colleague over a business decision. You try to reason with someone who is lost in anger or fear. It is like standing at the edge of a raging sea and shouting at the waves to be still. Your words are lost in the roar. Your logic is meaningless to the chaotic energy of the storm. The more you shout, the more powerless you feel. This is because you are attempting to engage on the wrong level. You are trying to use the limited tool of language to alter a person's deep-seated emotional and vibrational state. It rarely works. True influence is not a transmission of information. It is a transmission of being. Consider the lighthouse. It stands on a rocky promontory, a silent, solitary tower against the vastness of the sea. A terrible storm descends. The sky turns black, the wind howls, and the waves, like liquid mountains, crash against its foundation with immense force. The lighthouse does not engage in a debate with the storm. It does not shout back at the wind. It does not try to reason with the waves or justify its existence to the chaotic sea. It does not worry whether the ships in the darkness can see it or if they appreciate its service. It has only one function, one purpose, one single, unwavering argument. It shines. It does not do this with effort. It does not strain to produce its light. It simply, quietly, and continuously is a light. And by this simple act of being, its influence is profound. It cuts through the darkest storm. It offers a point of stability in the chaos. It guides lost ships safely to harbor. It offers hope without ever uttering a word. Its presence is its power. Its being is its argument. This is the state you are now invited to embody. Through your inner work, you have been building your own lighthouse. Every moment of silent observation, every act of releasing a negative belief, every feeling of gratitude has been another stone set in your foundation. You have been cleaning the lamp and polishing the lens. Your inner peace is the tower's unshakable foundation. Your inner light, the radiance of your own consciousness, is the beacon. Your work is no longer to sail out and wrestle with the stormy seas of other people's chaos. Your work is to simply stand on your shore, in your own sovereign space, and to shine. This is not a mystical platitude. It is a principle of energetic physics. In science, there is a phenomenon known as entrainment. If you place several pendulum clocks in the same room, all with their pendulums swinging to different rhythms, and you leave them, over time something remarkable will happen. They will all synchronize to the rhythm of the most powerful, stable, and dominant pendulum. The chaotic rhythms will naturally entrain to the most coherent rhythm. Your own consciousness is the most powerful pendulum in your environment. When you walk into a room filled with the chaotic, anxious, and discordant energy of others, you have a choice. You can allow your pendulum to be influenced by them, getting swept up in the drama and anxiety. Or you can remain steadfast in your own powerful, coherent rhythm, the rhythm of your inner peace. If you can hold your state without force or effort, the law of entrainment will begin its silent work. The frantic energy of others will naturally, unconsciously, begin to slow down, to calm down, to entrain to the peaceful, stable frequency you are emanating. Your peace literally silences their chaos, without you having to do anything but be peaceful. This also works through the biology of our brains. We are wired with what are called mirror neurons. These neurons allow us to feel what others are feeling. When you see someone genuinely laugh with joy, your own mirror neurons fire and you feel a flicker of that joy yourself. When you are in the presence of someone consumed by rage, you feel a tension in your own body. Most people are unconsciously broadcasting and receiving these signals all day long. But as a conscious creator, you can use this principle with intention. When you are with a friend who is lost in fear, instead of offering them a list of logical reasons why they shouldn't be afraid, you can instead offer them your deep, unwavering, and loving presence. You listen from a place of profound inner stillness. You do not get swept into their story. You simply hold the space for them, all the while being a silent, powerful anchor of peace. Their mirror neurons will sense your authentic inner calm, and it will give them the direct experience of what peace feels like, which is something no words could ever convey. You give them a safe harbor in the storm of their own mind. To live this way is to be truly free. You are released from the exhausting burden of needing to be right, of needing to win, of needing to manage the emotional states of everyone around you. Your only responsibility is to maintain the integrity of your own inner state. In a tense meeting, in a difficult family gathering, in a confrontation with a stranger, your primary goal is not to win the argument. Your primary goal is to maintain your peace. You realize that to win an argument but lose your peace is a profound net loss. You begin to emanate a quiet confidence that does not need to announce itself. Your lack of reactivity becomes your strength. Your stillness becomes your power. This silent, radiant presence is the energy you are now contributing to the world with every breath. It is your constant, unconscious broadcast. It is the light that emanates from your lighthouse, moment by moment. And the universe, as we know, is a perfect and impartial mirror. It operates on a flawless system of cause and effect, where every energy that is sent out is met with a perfectly corresponding energy that is returned. This constant, silent broadcast of your presence, the quality of your light, the frequency of your pieces, in its truest sense, the karma you are creating for yourself in every instant. The quality of your being determines the quality of the life that is reflected back to you. To fully grasp this responsibility and this power, we must now look at this great universal law of reflection, seeing karma not as a system of cosmic reward and punishment, but as a perfect, impersonal mirror. Your presence has become your argument. You have cultivated an inner state of peace and gratitude, so profound that it radiates from you, a silent, powerful broadcast that calms the storms around you and persuades without a word. This radiant presence, this state of being, is the energy you are constantly contributing to the world. It is the cause you are setting in motion with every breath. And the universe, being a place of perfect order and flawless law, has a system for ensuring that every cause is met with a perfectly corresponding effect. This system is often known by the ancient name of karma. It is a word that has been shrouded in fear, superstition, and misunderstanding for centuries. Today, we will strip away the fear and see this great law for what it is. Not a cosmic judge, but a perfect, impersonal mirror. For too long, karma has been presented as a system of moral bookkeeping, managed by a great, unseen accountant in the sky. It has been depicted as a cosmic police force, waiting to punish you for your misdeeds, or a system of celestial reward for your good behavior. This interpretation, born of a primitive, fear-based consciousness, has caused immense suffering. It creates a sense of guilt over past actions and a deep-seated fear of future retribution. It paints a picture of a universe where you are a potential sinner, constantly on trial, haunted by the debts of this life and perhaps even past ones. You must release this image. It is a childish and distorted view of a magnificent and elegant universal law. The law of karma is as neutral, as impersonal, and as reliable as the law of gravity. Gravity does not judge you for stepping off a roof. It does not punish you. It simply and unfailingly operates. Karma is the law of energy's reflection. It is the universe's perfect feedback loop. It simply states that every unit of energy you emit through your thoughts, your feelings, your words, and your actions will be reflected back to you in kind. It is not a moral law, it is a law of physics. It does not seek to reward or punish. It seeks only to reflect, to maintain balance. The energy of the cause must equal the energy of the effect. The quality of your broadcast determines the quality of the program you experience. The quality of your light determines the nature of the reflection you see in the mirror. So what is the cause that you are constantly setting in motion? It is not just your isolated actions. An action is merely the final, physical punctuation mark at the end of a sentence that was first formed in thought and then energized by emotion. The true cause, the karmic seed, is your state of being, the very presence we have just discussed. If your dominant inner state is one of anger and resentment, you are constantly emitting the frequency of anger and resentment. The law of karma then ensures that you will encounter people and circumstances that reflect this anger back at you, giving you more things to be resentful about. If your inner state is one of criticism and judgment, you will find yourself in a world that feels harsh, critical, and judgmental. The law is not punishing you. It is simply providing you with a perfect mirror of your own energy so that you can see it, know it, and have the opportunity to change it. Karma is not a punishment. It is a pedagogy. It is the universe's compassionate way of teaching you about your own consciousness. Let us imagine that the universe is a vast, circular, and perfectly designed echo chamber. The walls of this chamber are made of a special material that reflects not just sound, but the total quality of any energy sent out. You are standing in the center of this chamber. If you shout a word of anger, the walls do not judge you. They do not decide to punish you. They simply perform their function. They reflect the sound wave, and an echo of anger returns to you, perfectly matching the tone and intensity of your original shout. If you whisper a prayer of love, a whisper of love is what you will hear in return. If you sing a song of joy, the very air in the chamber will soon vibrate with the melody of joy. The unconscious person lives their entire life in this echo chamber, screaming insults, complaints, and fears at the walls, and then feeling victimized by the hostile, frightening, and discordant echoes that constantly bombard them. They blame the chamber. They say, "This is a terrible, hostile place." They never realize that they are the source of the sound, that the chamber is only a neutral amplifier of their own broadcast. The conscious creator understands the nature of the chamber. They realize that to change the echo, they must first change the original sound. So they stop screaming. They begin to whisper words of love. They begin to sing songs of gratitude. They take full and complete responsibility for the sounds they produce, knowing with absolute certainty that the echo is guaranteed by law. This law operates on every level of your being. It is not just your deeds that are reflected. A habitual thought of judgment towards another person is a karmic seed. It emits the frequency of judgment, and the universe must reflect it back, perhaps as you feeling judged by your boss, or as a general sense of being scrutinized by the world. A chronic emotional state of victimhood is a powerful karmic broadcast. It sends out a signal of powerlessness that attracts experiences where you will be taken advantage of or overlooked. Conversely, a genuine feeling of compassion for another's struggle sends out a wave of gentle energy that is reflected back to you as the kindness of strangers or the support of friends when you need it most. Your karma is not something that is chasing you from a distant past. It is being generated by you in this very moment by the quality of the energy you are choosing to embody and emit. This understanding is the ultimate empowerment. You are not a prisoner of your past. You are not shackled by the deeds of a former life. Your karmic slate is wiped clean in every single moment. You can change the entire trajectory of your life. You can change your karma right now by changing your state of being. The power is not in the past or the future. It is here, in the now. You are the source of the sound. You are the singer of the song. You are the broadcaster. You are in complete control of the cause. So, if you wish to experience a life filled with love, what is the cause you must create? You must become the source of love. If you wish to experience a life of joy and abundance, what is the echo you wish to hear? You must first sing the song of joy and abundance. The great law of karma, when understood correctly, reveals a profound spiritual strategy. It shows that the most direct, efficient, and powerful way to receive any desired quality in your life is to first give that quality from your own being. To get, you must give. To receive, you must send out. This is not a moral prescription. It is a spiritual tactic based on the flawless physics of the universe. This brings us to the final, active principle of creation, the beautiful and powerful paradox of receiving through giving. We stand at the threshold of a great understanding. We have traced the flow of power from our innermost thoughts to our tangible reality. We have learned that our presence is our power, and that the universe operates as a perfect and impartial mirror, reflecting back to us the exact quality of the energy we emit. We understand now the law of karma not as a feared judge, but as a reliable law of reflection. With this knowledge, we are no longer victims of this law, we are its masters. And a master does not wait for the echo. A master, consciously and deliberately, creates the sound they wish to hear. This brings us to the final active principle of creation, a beautiful and profound paradox that turns the world's logic on its head. It is the secret that to receive, you must first give. In the physical world, giving is seen as an act of subtraction. To give $1 is to have $1 less. To give your time is to have less time for yourself. We are trained from birth in a paradigm of scarcity, taught to accumulate, to protect, to hoard. We fear that if we give too much, we will be left with nothing. But the universe does not operate on the logic of scarcity. It operates on the principle of flow, of circulation. Look to nature, our greatest teacher. The sun does not hoard its light. It gives it away freely, and in doing so, creates all life. The clouds do not hoard their water. They release it as rain, which nourishes the earth so that more water can evaporate and form new clouds. A tree does not hoard its oxygen. It gives it as a gift, and in return, receives the carbon dioxide it needs to live. In nature, stagnation is death. A pond with no outlet becomes a toxic, lifeless swamp. A lake with a constant outlet, a place where it gives of its water, is always fresh, vibrant, and full. Your own life, your own energy, your own consciousness is this body of water. To hoard is to stagnate. To give is to participate in the sacred, life-giving flow of the cosmos. There is a powerful law of spiritual physics at play here. Nature abhors a vacuum. When you release something, when you give something away, you are not merely creating a loss. You are creating a void, an energetic vacuum. And the universe, in its irresistible tendency towards equilibrium and fullness, must rush in to fill that vacuum. The act of giving is the act of opening a door and creating a space in your life. By releasing what you have, you are sending the universe the most powerful signal possible that you are open and ready to receive. It is an act of profound trust, a demonstration of your faith that you live in an abundant universe and that you are a part of its endless flow. You are priming the pump of prosperity. The person who clutches their last few dollars in fear is sending a powerful signal of, "I don't have enough," and I don't trust that more is coming. They are creating an energetic dam. The person who, even in their perceived lack, gives $1 with a spirit of trust is sending a signal of, there is more than enough, and I am a channel for its flow. They have opened the floodgates. To truly master this principle, we must expand our understanding of what it means to give. This is not just about money. You are a fountain of infinite currencies. Let us explore the many ways you can give, and in doing so, create the vacuum that will attract your good. The first and perhaps most powerful thing you can give is forgiveness. To hold a grudge, to harbor resentment against another person, is the ultimate act of spiritual hoarding. You are clutching onto old, toxic energy, replaying a painful story, and keeping a wound festering within you. You think you are protecting yourself, but you are poisoning your own well. The act of giving forgiveness is the ultimate act of release. You are not condoning the other person's behavior. You are liberating yourself from the heavy, stagnant energy of the past. You are performing a radical act of self-love. When you truly release that resentment, you create an immense energetic vacuum within your being, a vast, open space that the universe will immediately rush to fill with the healing energies of peace, lightness, and inner freedom. You can give the gift of praise and genuine acknowledgement. In a world where so many feel invisible and unappreciated, the simple act of noticing the good in another person and speaking it aloud is a profound gift of life-giving energy. When you see a colleague do good work, tell them. When you appreciate a quality in a friend, express it. Do not hoard your positive observations. By making another person feel seen, valued, and worthy, you are broadcasting the frequency of worthiness into the universe. And by the law of the mirror, the universe must bring back to you experiences, people, and circumstances that make you feel seen, valued, and worthy. The praise you give becomes the praise you receive. You can give the gift of your undivided presence. In our age of distraction, to offer someone your full, focused, non-judgmental attention is one of the rarest and most precious gifts of all. When you are with someone, be with them. Put down your phone. Stop planning your reply. Simply listen. Listen not just to their words, but to the feeling behind their words. When you give the gift of your presence, you are giving that person the experience of their own reality being honored. You are making them feel that they matter. This act of giving your focus creates a karmic echo where the universe begins to pay more attention to you. You will find that you feel more heard, more understood, and that the universe seems to listen to your intentions with a new and startling clarity. Most importantly, you must learn to give from what you perceive to be your lack. This is the ultimate test of faith and the most direct way to shatter an old pattern. If you feel you are lacking in love, you must become a fountain of love for others. Give compassion, give kindness, give a listening ear. The more love you give, the more you realize that love is not a finite commodity you can lose, but a divine current that flows through you, and the very act of opening the valve to give it away is what allows you to experience its flow. If you feel you are lacking in abundance, you must practice giving. It does not have to be a large sum. Find a coin and give it to a homeless person. Buy a coffee for the person behind you in line. The amount is irrelevant. It is the energy of the act itself that matters. The act of giving, no matter how small, is a powerful declaration to the universe. It is a statement that says, I have more than enough. I live in an abundant world. I trust the flow. In that moment, you have broken your agreement with the energy of scarcity and signed a new contract with the energy of abundance. The spirit in which you give is everything. Giving with resentment, giving to receive public praise, or giving with a subconscious string attached expecting something specific in return pollutes the offering. This is not giving, this is bartering, and it carries the energy of lack and manipulation. True, creative giving is unconditional. It is done from a place of joy, from a recognition of your own fullness. You are not giving to get. You are giving because it has become your nature. You are a sun, and it is your nature to shine. You are a spring, and it is your nature to flow. The receiving is a guaranteed consequence, a natural echo, but it is not your primary motive. Your motive is the simple joy of participating in the benevolent circulation of the universe. As you integrate this principle into your daily life, your entire identity begins to shift. You stop seeing yourself as a small, separate container that needs to be protected and filled. You begin to experience yourself as an open and infinite channel through which the abundance of the universe can flow. Your focus moves from "what can I get from the world" to "what can I give to the world." You realize that your value lies not in what you can accumulate, but in what you can contribute. Life ceases to be a struggle for survival and becomes a joyful dance of giving and receiving. You are no longer trying to solve the problem of your own life. You have become a source of solutions for the world. This state of being, where you are so full that you cannot help but overflow your gifts to the world, where you serve from a place of abundance and joy, is the hallmark of the one who has achieved true inner freedom. It is the defining characteristic of the master who serves. You have walked a long and winding path, not through the outer world, but through the vast, intricate, and luminous landscapes of your own consciousness. You began as a warrior on an unseen battlefield, fighting shadows in a hall of mirrors. You learned to become the silent observer on the riverbank, watching the stream of your thoughts without being swept away. You descended into the deep vaults of the subconscious, understanding yourself as the gardener of that fertile soil. You stood in the alchemist's workshop, learning to use the fire of your feeling to forge reality. In the great, silent cathedral of your own being, you learned the power of your word. You disarmed the inner critic, not by fighting, but by starving it of your attention. You unearthed and demolished the foundational lie of conditional worthiness, claiming your own inherent divine birthright. You learned the physics of the universe, that it responds not to your wanting, but to the frequency of your being. You discovered the infinite creative power locked within the currency of the now. You made the great leap from desire to assumption, and held that assumption steady with the unwavering conviction of faith. You learned the grace of surrender and the quiet magnetism of neutrality. You reframed every obstacle as a loving redirection, and you tuned your entire being to the creative force of gratitude. And finally, you have understood that true receiving comes from joyful giving. You have completed the curriculum. And now, what is the result of all this work? What is the state of being that emerges from this profound inner transformation? It is the state of the master who serves. When you hear the word master, dismiss the image of a guru on a mountaintop, detached from the world, or a powerful figure commanding legions. Spiritual mastery is not about dominion over others. It is about perfect dominion over your own inner state. It is the point where the long, often arduous work of self-discipline transforms into a new, natural way of being. It is the state where you are no longer a slave to your mind, but its calm and benevolent master. And from this place of mastery, a new impulse arises, not from the ego, but from the soul. The desire to serve, not from a sense of duty or lack, but from a joyful overflowing of your own fullness. Let us use one final metaphor for this journey. For most of your life, your mind was like a magnificent, powerful, wild horse. It was beautiful and full of immense energy, but it was untamed. It was driven by the primal instincts of fear, desire, and reaction. It was the master, and you were the rider, clinging on for dear life, being dragged through thorny bushes of anxiety and over rocky cliffs of despair. You were pulled wherever its whims and terrors dictated. You spent your life at the mercy of this powerful, chaotic animal. The journey we have taken together has been the patient, conscious process of taming this horse. The art of sacred observation was learning to watch the horse without being thrown by its every buck and kick. Descending into the subconscious was understanding the horse's history, why it was so fearful and wild. The architecture of silence was building a quiet, safe paddock where the horse could learn to be calm. Starving the inner critic was ignoring the horse's fearful whinnying instead of punishing it. Every step was an act of firm but gentle training, replacing fear with trust and chaos with discipline. This process required immense patience and consistency. There were times you were thrown. There were times the horse seemed more wild than ever. But you did not give up. The state of mastery is the moment you have become a skilled and effortless rider. The horse of the mind is no longer your wild tormentor. It has become your loyal and powerful servant. Its immense energy is still there, the power of thought, of visualization, of analysis, but it is no longer chaotic. It is now channeled, focused, and responsive to the gentle guidance of your will, the will of the silent watcher, your true self. You, the rider, are now in charge. If you wish to go left, the horse turns left. If you wish to stand still in a field of peace, the horse stands still, peacefully grazing. You have conquered the mind not by breaking its spirit, but by winning its trust. The mind, once a noisy and tyrannical master, has become a silent, powerful, and obedient servant. A person who has achieved this state of inner mastery walks through the world differently. They are not without challenges or problems. The storms of life still blow, but they are no longer a small boat tossed by the waves. They are the lighthouse we spoke of, anchored in a peace that the storm cannot touch. Their default state is one of tranquil awareness. While others react with panic and fear, the master responds from a place of quiet centeredness. Their movements have a certain grace, their decisions a certain clarity, because they are not born of frantic, fearful thought, but of calm, intuitive knowing. They have stopped trying to figure everything out and have instead learned to listen to the whisper of a deeper intelligence. The master speaks with a new authority. Their words are simple, yet they carry weight because they emerge from the depth of silence, not the shallows of nervous chatter. They have no need to dominate conversations, to prove they are right, or to have the last word. They have nothing to prove. They listen more than they speak, and when they do speak, it is to uplift, to clarify, or to comfort. They have mastered the art of letting their presence be their argument, and so their verbal arguments cease. Most profoundly, the master's relationship with the world is defined by service. But this is not the ego's version of service, which is often a transaction designed to gain approval, validation, or a sense of worthiness. The master serves for one simple reason: because their cup is full and overflowing. They have done the deep inner work of discovering the infinite wellspring of love, peace, and abundance within themselves. They are no longer seeking these things from the world. They are the source of them, and because their cup is constantly overflowing, it is their greatest joy to share that overflow with the world. Their giving is effortless. Their service is a song, not a chore. They serve not to become worthy, but because they know they already are. They give not to receive, but because giving has become the natural expression of their own abundant being. This is the master who serves. It is the parent who can hold a space of perfect peace for a crying child. It is the leader who can navigate a crisis with calm integrity. It is the artist whose work flows from a place of pure inspiration. It is the friend who can listen to another's pain without judgment. It is any person, in any walk of life, who has done the inner work to become a fountain of peace, wisdom, and love, instead of a black hole of neediness and fear. They have conquered the only kingdom that ever truly mattered, the kingdom of the self. And in doing so, they have become a gift to the world. This state is not a distant, unattainable goal. It is the natural destination of the path you are on. Every moment you choose presence over distraction, faith over fear, and gratitude over complaint, you are walking the path of the Master. This journey has not been about becoming a perfect, superhuman being. It has been about becoming a perfectly, authentically human being, free from the tyranny of an untamed mind. It has been about coming home to the peace and power that were your birthright all along. And as we bring our journey to a close, remember that this is not an ending, it is a beginning. It is the commencement of a new way of living, where every moment is an opportunity to live from this place of mastery, from this place of grace. The journey is complete, and yet it is just beginning. We began in a hall of mirrors, fighting with our own reflection, believing the battle was out there in the world. We have journeyed inward, through the winding rivers of the mind, down into the fertile soil of the soul, and into the silent, holy chambers of the heart. We have learned to wield the forces of creation, not with the brute force of the will, but with the graceful power of our own transformed consciousness. You have journeyed from warrior to witness, to gardener, to alchemist, and finally to the master who serves from a place of fullness. The secret, you have discovered, was never about learning a new way to fight. It was about realizing there was never a battle to be won. The work was never to persuade the world, but to achieve a quiet and unshakable agreement with your own soul. It was to stop polishing the mirror and to instead become the source of a new and more beautiful reflection. It was to stop shouting at the echo and to instead change the original sound to a song of gratitude and love. This is the art of silent persuasion, to so profoundly change your inner world that the outer world, in its own time and in its own way, has no choice but to follow. If you are to take away only one thing from this journey, let it be this. Let it be your anchor in the storm, your compass in the darkness. It is the beginning and the end of all spiritual work. Be still and know. Be still and know that you are not the chaos of your mind. Be still and know that you are inherently worthy. Be still and know that your assumption, held in faith, is a creative fact. Be still and know that you are unconditionally supported. In the stillness, all struggle ceases. In the stillness, all answers are found. In the stillness, you remember who you truly are. And now, there is nothing left to do, nothing left to learn. Simply be here. In this moment, take a slow, deep breath. Feel the gentle rise and fall of your chest. Feel the quiet aliveness in your hands. Notice the peace that is present right here, beneath the surface of all things. This peace is you. It has always been you. Carry it with you. Let it be the ground upon which you walk, the air which you breathe, and the light which you shine. The journey inward is complete. The journey outward now begins.